the series that's defined by endurance, showcased by its 24-hour classic, and renowned for its relentless passion. Switches gears, not up, but down, because today is all about short and fast. 2 of the final 3 rounds are 2-hour sprints. The first, right here at historic Watkins Glen, where cars will be crunched, tempers tested, and contenders eliminated. It's sports cars on speed with the Rolex Sports Car Series, where there's nowhere to hide. On a massive motorsport weekend in upstate New York, the world-famous Watkins Glen International welcomes Grand Am back to town to share this incredible track with NASCAR's top 2 series. It's the final quarter of the season, and championship is what everyone is talking about. As we welcome you to Speed's live coverage of round 10 of the Rolex Sports Car Series, this is the Canadian Tire 200 at the Glen. Hi folks, Lee Diffie along with Speed's sports car experts Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader. It's always great to say welcome back to the Glen, and after 2 weeks away from the track, boys, we enter our sprint phase because it's busy. We've got 2 races in the space of 7 days here and then Montreal next weekend. Cal, they're both going to be 2-hour sprint races. It's going to be very much a case of the fast and the furious. And oh, by the way, there's a couple of championships on the line.
It's going to be fun, Lee. We're coming down to the wire in this championship chase. 3 rounds to go, and to use a golfing analogy, it's Saturday afternoon. It is moving day in the points. If you're going to make a statement, do it here today. And to do it on this racetrack, well, the short course here at the Glen, it is fun, it is frantic, it is plain fast. So if you make a mistake here, there's a lot of traffic out there today, 33 cars, it will be punished. Remember, short lap means green flag stop. You're probably going to go down the lap here today.
Dorse, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we're sharing the track with NASCAR Nationwide Series and the Sprint Cup Series. We've got a couple of NASCAR visitors. Who are they?
Well, Jack Roush, for one, has entered the number 11 Mustang for Ricky Stenhouse and David Reagan. And, of course, we had Joey Logano alongside of Boris Sutton, what was the number 31 Wayland Corvette. However, it's now the number 3.
And the reason why, we're about to show you some highlights, or a low light, unfortunately, for Joey yesterday. This is midway through qualifying. Joey was the provisional pole sitter, tried to go around a slower car, and crunch. There was a nasty, nasty incident. Fortunately, Joey is okay. The same cannot be said for the car. Here's what he had to say afterwards.
Yeah, I was out there qualifying, and the car in front of me was just really slow, just holding us up, and I was all mad because he was holding me up on my qualifying lap, and he wasn't getting out of the way. So I just went to the outside of him, and yeah, so my own stupidity, I just overdrove a little bit and spun out, hit the wall. So it's frustrating. I feel bad for the guys. That was a really good race car, and I pretty much destroyed it. So hopefully I got a good backup there, or I don't know what the plan is. We'll see what happens.
Well, obviously, the 31 could not be repaired. It is the 3, Dorsey, as you alluded to. Teddy Marsh gathered his team and said, guys, we're not going to get this fixed. So they got the transporter, a few team members, and headed back towards Old Lyme, Connecticut, where the shop is based. Team members there prepared the car from last year. They met halfway, put it on the trailer, brought it here, been working on it all day. It's now out on track. We're here with NASCAR, like we talked about, and anytime we are, we always have good NASCAR stories. For more on that, let's go to Chris Neville.
Well, Roush Racing won the Rolex 24 10 times between 1985 and 1995, but Jack has not been at the Rolex 24 in over 15 years. Jack, you're running the Mustang here today. Are you just kind of testing the waters and hopefully returning in January?
The first thing I want to say is I've already forgot more than these guys know about GT racing. And so this is not a preview of something that's for sure going to happen. It's something I'm still interested in, but Tom Nastasi called us up and offered to loan us his car. We had a couple of drivers, David Reagan and Ricky Stenhouse, that were a little weak on road racing. And I said, what would be nicer than to go to Watkins Glen and to make one more round around there in a GT car with Tom Nastasi's help and with Ricky and David.
Well, his team has had so much success in the Continental Tire Challenge. Hopefully we'll see him step up into GT next year.
Thanks, Chris. Stenhouse Jr. incidentally just finished in the top 15 in the Nationwide Series race. Of course, David Reagan's big event here at the Glen comes tomorrow. Let's talk Daytona prototypes. Let's talk championship points. We know it's looking good for Ganassi with a 29-point buffer. The race is for the rest.
It really is, but I tell you what, Lee, when you come to a short, fast racetrack like this, it will really test everyone's patience. The last time we did this was back at Lime Rock in May, and we can see what happened here. Championship leader, Memo Rauas. Look for him to the left there. Tries to thread a needle. It wasn't there. Massive impact there. Big damage to the 01. They finished 7th. They recovered, but the only time they've finished out of the top 2 all season long.
Yeah, they're going for their 6th win here today. And when they made an error, they being the Ganassi squad, this team pounced, Dorse, didn't they? SunTrust Racing, Wayne Taylor's boys.
Absolutely did great. They got their first win at Lime Rock Park, and of course, they are the winners here at Watkins Glen at the 6 hour earlier this season.
First time for that team, and it was an amazingly emotional experience. Brian Till caught up with Ricky Taylor a little earlier.
Well, Ricky Taylor starts from the pole for the 6th time this season, and while the pole is important, Ricky, I know the race win very important too, but how much do you expect the track to have changed with the nationwide cars on the track today?
Yesterday before qualifying, we got a little bit of experience on what the track would do after the nationwide rubber went down. Track changed quite a bit, but we didn't have a full race distance for sure yesterday, so it'll be interesting. Definitely do some experimentation during my stint, let Max know how it is, and he'll bring it home.
If SunTrust can get the victory, it'd be their 3rd of the season, the 4th for Chevrolet.
Well, Wayne Taylor never won the 6 hour, but here we see him with his Pete Townsend impression, and he's the only man in the paddock with legs shorter than Lee Diffie.
We'll see what he does if they go to Victory Lane here again today. These guys know about going to Victory Lane at Watkins Glen, that's for sure. Brumos Racing and their Porsche 911 with the famous 59. We'll tell you more about these guys after the break. Speed's coverage of the Rolex Sports Car Series is presented on Speed by Rolex. A crown for every achievement. Brought to you in part by Continental Tire. Innovative technology, driving confidence. And by the Capital One Venture Card. What's in your wallet?
When the sun shines, the shadows are long across the roadway. Blackboard signs in the pit area keep drivers informed of their progress. The 8-ball scoots past the pit crew. 2 more laps for the leader, Bill Walters at 55. The official's black flag signals the driver to stop for a safety check on his car. Every driver is trying to improve his position on this last lap. And here's the checkered flag and victory for Bill Walters.
Not only a wonderful day for Phil Walters, but Briggs Cunningham and the entire Cunningham team. And that's why people love this place so much, because it's so rich and deep in history. It is Watkins Glen International. We've spoken about Daytona prototypes. We now need to turn your attention to GT, because boy, is this championship a whole lot closer. The Brumos pairing of Andrew Davis and Lee Keane have the narrowest of margins.
It is really tight. Look, all the way down to 7th place, only 20 points out of the lead. It is up for grabs with 3 rounds to go.
Let's turn the spotlight on some of the contenders. Let's start with the points leader. The famous 59 went back to Victory Lane in a very emotional experience here at the 6 Hours of the Glen earlier this year.
And could Auto House Motorsports really pull off something special? They see Wayne Taylor celebrating the win at VIR. Bill Lester co-driving with Jordan Taylor.
And the first race win of the year for Mazda came at New Jersey Motorsports. Speed Source right there. Sylvain Tremblay, Jonathan Bomarito, also their first win.
Speaking of Speed Source, the defending GT champions are from Speed Source. Emil Asentato and Jeff Siegel. They're yet to win this year, but they've come close on a couple of occasions.
Well, the team that has won on a couple of occasions, of course, Turner Motorsports, the BMW. Paul Dallalana, Bill Auburn went on a tear at the start of the year, winning 2 races. Since that time, they've stayed in the thick of the points, and Bill Auburn is back to co-drive here this weekend.
It's been a wonderful championship fight, and as we said at the moment, the Brumos team, the famed Brumos team, lead the way. We associate them with Jacksonville, Florida. We also associate them with Watkins Glen International, and a man who can tell us more is standing by with Brian.
Well, the GT driver points lead, you guys talked about, it's dropped to 1, but Hurley Haywood in the Manufacturers Championship, Porsche has dropped behind Mazda by 7 points. You understand the driver's side and the manufacturer's side, but if you could walk away with only 1 championship in 2011, which one would be more important, the driver's or manufacturer's championship?
Well, that's hard for me to answer. The most important thing, I think, is the manufacturer's championship. We got to keep Porsche happy. We want them to help us develop this car, but to back that up, we want to win the drivers' championship for Andrew and Lee. So both of them are equally important.
But manufacturers are what literally makes the wheels go around, guys. If they could only have one, you heard Hurley say, we'll take it for Porsche.
Lee Keane, one of those 2 Brumos drivers, is a previous Grand Am GT champion. He was also in the spotlight here last year, wasn't he, Dorse, in the 41 Dempsey Mazda?
Had a great run last year, looking for a lot out of him this time as well.
He and James Guay, his teammate then, drove the Dempsey Mazda to Victory Lane. in the team's very first class win. And a little earlier, our Chris Neville caught up with the man, the name behind the team.
Dempsey Racing won their first professional race here last year, and Patrick, you've done more driving this year than any other year, but this is your first time on the short course. Are you ready?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. Qualifying was really interesting, so it's going to be interesting how the field takes that first corner. It's really fast, the short course. I like it a lot here. We had a great run last year. Got to thank Mazda, Visit Florida, Trina Solar, and all of our sponsors make it possible to get here.
Good luck today.
Thank you very much.
And it's been a racing season that the Dempsey team will remember for a variety of reasons. This is the live shot on board. However, we take you back several weeks to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and this terrible, terrible accident between Gunther Sheldack and Joe Foster.
Scary moment indeed. Gunther Sheldack loses the rear brakes, then with the bodywork damage, stuck throttle, he heads right over the fence. Fortunately, as you can see, he walks away, but now we're on board with Joe Foster. Hear the hit there. Skates across the gravel trap, big impact, and a good nick injury to Joe Foster. As you can see, the medics on hand to cut the roof off the car, and Joe was okay and made the next round.
Time to take a look at the Rolex track map. Dorse, tell us the highlights here.
Well, the short course here is the fastest that we race at 133.7 mile per hour for the pole. It's 2.45 miles in length. Slowest corner is turn 1. It's 80 miles an hour. Top speed straightaway 172. It's going to be a busy day, boys.
Now, it wasn't just Joey Logano who had a pretty big crash yesterday. Check out JP Mauro. Cal, what did you make of this one?
Well, he's on cold tyres, started the qualifying session with Dorsey right in the brake zone. It suddenly spears off to the right-hand side. Not sure if it was driver error or something else.
We didn't see any tire smoke or skid marks, so I almost think something broke in that car.
Subaru starting grid rolling across the top of your screen as we take your attention to the Continental Tire keys to the race. These 2-hour sprints are always frantic. They're fantastic.
It's going to flash by. You're just going to have to hang on to your seats at home to watch this one. Perfect strategy. We've said that in recent rounds. To win one of these DP races, you need to have the perfect race. Pit stops will be critical here today. We expect to if we don't see a lot of yellow. But remember, if you do a green flag stop, unless you're within 10 seconds of the lead, you will go down a lap. And then the weather, there is rain in the area.
There is the view from the rear of the Chevrolet Camaro pace car. We've also got some onboards for you as well. The Dempsey Racing Mazda in the top left. The defending champs is Emil Asentado in the center top. The 94 Turner Motorsport machine, Paul Dall'Alana. And we've got 2 Daytona prototype onboards for you there as well. These 2-hour sprints are something special. This one has provided us some frantic action in years gone by. We start in the daylight, we pretty much race into the dark here at the Glen, Watkins Glen International. And the season has flashed by us in a heartbeat. We have only this and 2 more races left in the 2011 championship.
Ricky Taylor on the pole for the 6th consecutive race. What a run he's having, and alongside championship leader Memo Rojas.
Watch for that red Gainsco machine, the Red Dragon starting from the second row. Fogarty's going to be keen to make an inside move down into 1. This is it. The Canadian Tire 200 at the Glen. We see the green fly. Who gets the best jump? Ricky Taylor, the pole man, does.
Watch for a big flare down in the brake zone. It's always happening here.
Oh, whoa,
There's
Paul
a GT
Edwards.
start.
Paul Edwards out of shape and runs wide. Plenty of runoff there.
And there we see John Pugh off as well in the Crown Royal car. GT start looks pretty clean.
Clean through turn 1 anyway.
Good GT field here. It's a strong field. Some 21 GT cars on the grid here today as they make their way up through the S's. And already driving defensively, Rojas, and around the outside goes David Donahue. He slots into that 3rd spot ahead of Fogarty. Nice move.
What a start by David Donahue. Up to 3rd spot already. He is a man on a mission. He got in a little argy-bargy with Mark Blundell. There were words after the qualifying session. Seems to have fired him up.
I think you're right about that. I think it's lit a fire. David Donahue is really talking win now. He wants to show what he can do.
If you want to see a kid good on cold tires, look ahead. Ricky Taylor has left these guys behind.
It's not the first time, Lee. He's led every race this year. You go back to last year, this is the 15th consecutive race that Ricky Taylor has led laps.
Spoke with David Donahue just a little bit earlier. He said he thought they would have a good car for the race. They planned on the track changing, and it has come to them. And right now, he is on a charge to the front. We'll have to see who else guessed correctly.
Rojas in trouble there in the brake zone. It's really a good catch, Dawes.
It's such a tricky brake zone. You're running downhill, 1 car wide out there. Good catch. Downhill brake zone. It really is hard to judge where to get on those brakes. You're going really quickly, and you want to get the most of that corner because it leads onto this straightaway.
And Donahue was putting the pressure on him, so he was surely on the brakes at the last possible moment. Look at Donahue. That Porsche engine looks strong down the backstretch.
There's the 8 of Alex Popov, and he tries to make an inside move on Brian Frizzell in that Office Depot Dallara, but couldn't quite do it. Let's take you back. Here is the start. Keep an eye on that black and blue number 90 on the second row of Paul Edwards. What went wrong? What got him out of shape, out of line?
We saw Rojas get a little bit loose under the braking zone. I think the same thing happens here to Paul Edwards there. Oh, Rojas stacked up. And I think Edwards had to release the brakes there, Dorsey, and go around the outside of him.
That wasn't a Boyden's maneuver. We'll watch it again right now. You see him looking to the outside. You can do that just to get some visibility.
Watch Rojas stack him up there. Rojas is trying to tuck in behind Taylor there.
He twitched. Rojas had a big twitch back there, and that did start that whole scrum right there.
Let's take you on board the 5 of David Donahue, looking for an inside move. Watch to the left. Look far left, that black and blue car. Whoa.
He nearly ran into the back tail there of Rojas and had to just jog to the outside, otherwise he would have turned him around.
There's a big bump out there, and that's causes a lockup. You can see on the skid marks on the asphalt there where that happens.
GT class leader is the GT pole sitter Robin Liddell, and his old Stevenson teammate Andrew Davis is following him second, and that's a healthy lead early on for the Camaro man.
It really is, and this team really just need to catch a few more breaks this year. They say we've been shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit. We have no one to blame but ourselves. We've had 4 poles, but only 1 win, and these were the championship favorites coming in.
Camaros all across the board have been good at this racetrack, no question about it. But they seem to degrade the tires a little bit quicker than some of the others. We have to watch that as we go on.
Nice inside move from the 007. Gunter Shaldak climbs up a position over Emil Asentato. Through the bus stop cleanly, and away we go. So our pole men are the leading men. Ricky Taylor in DP, Robin Liddell in GT. We told you it was going to be frantic. It hasn't let us down already. Off to a break. See you in a moment. And it is hot.
Oh,
he hit him.
Punt him round.
It's just really, really dumb. I give him plenty of room, let him go by on the inside, hoping he's going to drive away, and he doesn't.
Here we go.
Here he is right there. He's in there.
Moving him out of the way. The 0-1 for the first time at New Jersey Motorsports Park.
We've been so close, and now to finally happen. Yes!
And the entertainment doesn't stop on speed here tonight with the Canadian Tire 200 at the Glen. Tomorrow, NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot. Join JR and the gang. They've got special guests, Tony Stewart, Marcus Ambrose. There's a really interesting one-on-one. Dale Earnhardt Jr. sits down with Steve Burns for an exclusive, and that's an interview well worth watching. As we welcome you back to the Glen, there's been some movement going on while we're away. Ricky Taylor continues to move away. And check this out from earlier on. John Fogarty on Memo Rojas. This is pretty tight, fast stuff.
Yeah, this was on the opening lap here as they head up through the S's doors and they get side by side. But watch Fogarty, he roughs up Memo.
And this is the place you dare not touch one another. Look at this. He does indeed rough him up. Oh, that could have been a big one.
See him catch the rev limiter there as he got heavy into the action. Then a bit later on, here we see David Donahue look strong all race long. Down to the inside into turn 1. The Action Express team once again coming good in race trim.
You guys been listening to the scanner, Timmy Keene talking to Memo Rojas. He is not at all happy with his race car right now. Timmy Keene having him work the sway bars and adjust it. He keeps saying it's going to get better as we get some of this NASCAR rubber off. But for right now, you're just going to have to deal with it, Memo. Hang on.
Also heard that he's been working the brake bias knob a lot in there, trying to dial in a little bit of rear brake bias to help the car turn in.
One thing the car's been fighting all weekend long has been understeer. Remember New Jersey Park, the car was super loose. We even saw Scott Pruitt spin a couple of times in the practice sessions there. We've got a new Continental front tyre. It's given the teams a lot more grip, but it changes the balance of the race car. They came here, they said, totally different scenario. The car's been pushing all weekend long. And again, with this NASCAR rubber going down, it's a bit of a guessing game when it comes time to get the green flag here today.
Yeah, you know, if you've got too much front brake bias, it wants to tend to lead the car, make the car understeer on the entry. You bias a bit to the rear, and it seems to rotate the car in for you.
Good scrap going on here. Look at Paul Edwards trying to make up for lost ground after that turn 1 incident. He's got by John Pugh. He's trying to get by the 2 of Enzo Potolicchio, and he's got Mark Blundell up ahead. Yeah, great to see Mark and Zach Brown back in the Grand Am Rolex Series. really good to see them back, and hopefully we'll see them again at the Rolex 24 at Daytona in 2011.
Yeah, and they intend to be at the final round of the championship as well with Mike Shank and the United Auto Sports banner. Mark Blundell had a very successful test in Mid-Ohio last week. He and Zach Brown and also the 60 car got some laps in there, and Mark was absolutely flying, but the high speeds here at the Glen, he said, has taken him a little time to get settled in, and we're very disappointed with his qualifying run here yesterday.
It's not only Brown and Blundell who are back, Joey Hand and Bill Aublin are back for racing in the 2 Turner Motorsport GT, the BMW M3s. Good to have the boys back. Let's hear from Billy.
Yeah, Billy Auburn missed that round at New Jersey. Billy, your teammate Paul Dallalana, 16 points back in this GT championship. You guys have had a little bit of a slide these past 4 races. What do you need to do to turn the tide in the final 3?
Well, I haven't been here for a couple, and I miss it. This Grand Am racing is awesome. We got to win. Let's get out here. Let's win today. This car is good. It's not the best, but we're going to grab hold of the steering wheel. Turner Motorsports always gives us a great car, and we are just going to rip it to the front somehow, one way or the other.
Well, Turner Motorsports has never won in GT, but they've won 3 times in Continental Tire Challenge. Brian?
Aaron Law looking for a victory here for Action Express right now. David Donahue, we talked earlier, he had a little scrap with Blundell this weekend. He seems to be fired up and moving to the front. Have you heard him on the radio? Is the car good?
Yeah, actually everything's really good. We're really happy with the car, and we always run well at Watkins. We knew we had a good car off the truck, so I'm really confident in a run this weekend.
You guys, for qualifying, you were out after the nationwide cars. How did the track change, and what did you have to change for the car today?
You know, it hasn't changed a whole lot for us. I mean, it changes the balance for the first few laps until we get their rubber off, and then we're back to where we were. So we're ready, man. We need a good weekend. We're planning on it.
David Donahue, Darren Law looking for their first win of 2011.
Speaking with Darren a little earlier, Dorsey, he was very optimistic about the 5's chances today.
And I gotta tell you, talking to David Donahue, I had lunch with him today, and I think that little skirmish he had with Blundell, it's fired him up, no question about it. You don't see much emotion out of David normally, and he was worked up pretty good.
This lit a fire, and what's bizarre in the points is all 5 of the Action Express drivers are tied on points with 2 rounds to go. That's pretty bizarre, sharing 2 different cars.
Speaking GT, just for a moment, I want to update you on our NASCAR guests. David Reagan is running 8th in class, and Joey Logano, a spin in there. It's one of the Salem's machines. It's Wayne Nonamaker. Oh, the 99's involved.
Yeah, it's had hard damage, left rear suspension. The Red Dragon's going to be sidelined.
It is wounded.
We talked about patience in traffic, getting the 2 classes mixing well together on these high-speed tracks is not easy. David Donahue got all slowed down just in the nick of time, and that allowed Rojas to gain 2 positions there. That was a big move for him. And Alex Popov has gained 2. He's up to 3rd right now.
There is the Gainesco team. Bob Stallings saying, what happened there? Look at the back left of that car. Brian is on the spot.
Definite damage to the wheel. I can see that, but I think it's more than that because as it is askew, it looks like damage to the suspension. A lot of body work to move out of the way, and I'm trying to peer underneath it, but looks to me like perhaps a pushrod or an upright damage as well. So not the day that Bob Stallings, his Gainesco's team, wanted to see, especially this early on.
Let's take a look at it. There is Wayne Nonamaker in the 42. Here comes Fogarty around the outside.
He looked like he got a little loose on turn-in.
He did, in fact, get loose on turn-in. I think he clipped the 42 in trying to save his own car, and, of course, crashed.
I think
Take a look here.
Yeah, there we see the car now backing in, but right as he hit that concrete patch, Dorsey, it looked like the car took a little bit of a set, and I think that may have tightened up his arc going around the traffic, maybe.
Yeah, he was loose in for sure, and then he clipped the 42. Can't really tell much from that one.
We will tell you how badly the 99 Red Dragon is damaged when we come back on the other side of this. We're under a full course yellow for the first time this evening. You're looking at a group gathering around the 99, the 2-time championship winning team, Bob Stallings, Gainesco Auto Insurance team. There's one Pablo Montoya talking to Bob Stallings, wondering what went on, and what went on was this.
It all happens right here, Cal. Watch when he turns. Car gets loose. Now he's trying to gather.
You can almost see tire marks from the red tires there.
Yeah, and he clips the 42. Wayne Nonamaker had nothing to do with this wreck. He just got caught out. Watch again up here. Watch the back of the car twitch.
On board with Donahue there, right there. And that gets him too tight down towards the apex, and Nothing the 42 could do. He couldn't go any further to the right.
There's JPM taking a look
at
at
his father along with him there.
The heavily wounded Daytona prototype. We understand that these guys are done for the evening. Let's find out more. John Fogerty standing by.
Well, we can watch the videos all we want, but the guy that had the best seat in the house, unfortunately, John Fogerty, what happened out there? I know you guys were working through GT traffic.
It's the worst seat in the house. Yeah, working through GT traffic. I just got in the Gainesco auto insurance car past those two guys in front of me and put it in P2 and was just trying to work my way quickly through traffic. And, I came around the outside of that Mazda going into turn 10, and as I got down to the apex, suddenly I was turned around. So, I don't know, just an unfortunate situation for us today. But, the Gainesco guys are going to have their work cut out for them as we're going to Montreal next week. And the car's pretty banged up. It's a hard wall to hit.
Well, bad luck for them. Let's check down further with Chris.
Well, Brian, a handful of Daytona prototype teams came in to take advantage of that caution. These were teams that didn't have good track position. The 61 came in, did fuel only. The 90, fuel and tires. The 77, also fuel and tires at my end.
Yeah, and we suspected anyone who had poor track position would take the opportunity. Remember, you got to do 30 minutes to get points. So a driver change, if you're in the championship chase, it's too early for the GTs. This is our championship leader, looking for a top-up. Remember, strategy and fuel strategy ultimately won them the 6-hour race.
Also, any of the drivers that are in for the weekend that are not in the points would also benefit them to change out now.
Brian?
Well, fuel strategy, you're talking about Calvin right now down at Brumos. That's all they took was fuel and they get out in front of the 70.
Here is the Dempsey Racing Mazda, and if you're wondering why you're just seeing GT cars on pit road, that's part of Grand Am regulations. First time by on a caution, Daytona prototypes have the pit lane to themselves. Second time by, it's GT to themselves. After that, it's anybody's time. You're free to pit however and whenever you choose. So we will make the most of this caution period, squeeze in another break. What a sad scene for the 99. Pleased to say we're back to racing here at Watkins Glen International. Ricky Taylor leads the way, but how about that number 8 Starworks car right there, the Ford-powered Riley for Peter Barron's team, and Alex Popov just put a beautiful move on Memo Rojas.
I think these two drivers that run for Starworks this year, Popov and Peldalicchio, have been sensational. I mean, they were learning the ropes in the early rounds, and he just put a move on Memo Rojas, the championship leader. Stellar job down into turn 1. Really, really good run for him.
And Rojas didn't make it easy. He really pinched him down, but Popov was having none of it. He said, no, I'm in here.
Enjoy the ride with David Donahue up through the S's. This is magical. Encouraging to see David Donahue, Darren Law feeling racing, and this 5 going well. Meanwhile in GT, the 3 Corvette of Joey Logano was going well, but why is he mired in the pack, Chris Neville?
Well, he had moved up about 10 stops since the start. He came into pit lane for fuel, but there were 2 Mazdas that were in the pit boxes in front of him. And the great thing about Sprint Cup is you come into your pit box and your fuel man can move with the can all the way over to the car. But in Rolex, well, that fuel man is tied to the fuel tank here in pit lane. So he was a little bit too far from that. The team had to roll him a little bit closer. So everything he made up from the green flag, he gave it back.
But driving well, so too is David Reagan, incidentally. He's just grabbed 2 more places, and the Sprint Cup winner from this year's Daytona July race is running 3rd in GT.
Well, getting back to the Logano story, spoke to Teddy Marsh from Whelan Engineering this morning. He said Joey Logano just was sensational here yesterday. First laps in the car, within 3 laps he was as quick as our man Boris, and you saw what he did in qualifying. Certainly he went over the edge with the incident we've seen already today, but really, really good job. The team has worked overtime as you'd expect with that crash. They had to have their car taken from the Connecticut shop, met them halfway. It's about a 6-hour drive to their shop to get the car at 6 a.m. this morning, and had a lot of work to do. The drivetrain wasn't in the car. They changed the axles, put the drivetrain in from the crash car, and really, really good job to see them running so well in last year's car.
Of course, this is an older chassis as well, and it's heavier. There's the 11 car. We're talking about the Jack Roush has entered for Ricky Stenhouse and David Reagan. They're doing really well, learning as they go, if you will.
David has just got by Paul Dall'Alana for Turner Motorsport, and as we mentioned, he's up to 3rd. Robin Liddell leads well by about a 1.5 over Gunter Schaldak in the 07 Camaro. There it is. There's 1st and 2nd and 3rd. So we've got 2 Camaros, a Mustang, a BMW, then a Mazda of Emil Asentado. And Bill Lester has now moved up to 6th. championship contender, Bill List.
Well, imagine that. The Roush team making an impression on their return to GT racing. And spoke to Brad Francis, who really heads up the whole Roush Fenway road racing type of operations, and he said we're really pumped about the opportunities with this car. We are looking down the road. We had something on the plate for 2014, but we're discussing with Tom Nastasi. Maybe we'll move it up. As Jack Roush said in his interview, they really like this style of racing, the GT racing, to really train their nationwide drivers for these road courses. It has a really similar rhythm to driving their cars.
Now remember, Jack Roush Jr. drives in the Continental Tire Sports Car Series in a Mustang. He's done very well. It would be a natural transition for him to get into GT racing with one of these Roush cars.
Well, let's hear from the man who leads the Nationwide Series at the moment and is also David Reagan's teammate here today. Chris?
Yeah, today was the first time for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to race at Watkins Glen. Ricky, you finished 15th today. How close or how similar is this Mustang to the one that you run in Nationwide?
You know, the braking points were pretty similar, and you know, obviously this Mustang handles a little better, and the shifting's a little easier. But we've had a lot of fun so far. Dave and I have got to make some laps in practice earlier in this Mustang, and you know, it's a great series to run in, and looking forward to getting out there and make some more laps here.
That shift in a sequential box in this car, you like that, huh?
That's a lot of fun. It just makes it. Just makes it a blast to drive. Obviously, we got to watch out for all the DP cars coming up behind us. But David's he's running really well right now. I think he's third, so hopefully we can keep it up there.
Well, and Billy Johnson, who drives the Mustang in the Continental Tire Challenge Series, also working on this car this weekend. He's getting his fingers dirty, Brian.
Jörg Bergmeister, welcome back to Grand Am Racing. We saw you at the Rolex 24, now back with Star Works this weekend. This Porsche Riley, looks like the boys are doing pretty good with it out there. Enzo's having a good run in 5th.
Yeah, definitely. He's doing a really good job running consistent lap times, and I look forward to getting in the car.
How difficult is it to not run one of these cars on a regular basis and step back in and be up to speed?
You definitely need your time to get used to it again, but obviously I know the Riley pretty well. I won the championship in 06 in the Riley, and it didn't take too long.
Didn't take too long indeed, and right now both Star Works cars running in the top 5.
And the lanky German is pretty relaxed at the moment. Oh, this is not relaxing. Around goes Joey Logano.
Same place he had a problem yesterday, a little bit earlier in the turn. He likes that high groove, Dorsey, trying to go around the outside of cars, and I think just not the grip up there he's looking for.
Now you just got to wonder if he's using flat spot tires on that slide that he's just taken.
There were other cars involved, Dors. Wonder what the story is. Let's have a look.
Yeah, we'll know here in a minute, won't we? Everything going good through the inner loop part of the racetrack. Now watch. Oh, right there.
He's got some fluid.
Yeah,
There's some fluid coming out of that
right.
I think he might have a water hose that's loose or something on the front, which may have contributed to that spin.
That's a good observation, Cal. Definitely no question about water. There's something came out, got on that front tire. That started the car into a slide.
There's the team's regular driver, Eric Curran. He gave us the thumbs up. Eric had Achilles tendon surgery recently. That's why he's not in the car.
I think I saw it again.
Teddy Marsh will be looking at the pictures very, very closely. Meanwhile, there's Bill Riley on the left and the Star Works gang. The cars are running well. Quick programming reminder, next Saturday at 12 noon Eastern, it's the NASCAR Camping World Trucks from Michigan. It will be just as exciting as each and every round, so tune in as the summer heats up. The points battle is certainly interesting between Johnny Sauter and Austin Dillon, James Busher. It is very, very close. It's the NASCAR Camping World Trucks from Michigan. Need to tell you about some news and notes because Grand Am has revealed that in 2012 there'll be a Triple Crown, and what it will consist of is the Rolex 24 at Daytona, the 6 hours of the Glen, and we're hearing whispers, Dorse, that it might be a 3-hour race at Indy at the Brickyard event.
And that will be an awesome event. First time there for these guys running on the road course at Indianapolis. How exciting can that be?
Money and the details like that about the Triple Crown will be revealed in the coming weeks. What were the other news points on there, Cal?
Well, 2 new constructors are showing interest in DP chassis for next year. Remember, there's new bodywork rules allowed for next year. And also we saw that Ferrari 458 debut at Daytona just a couple of weeks ago. Very successful test, and we may have a chance to show some pictures of that a little bit later on.
Definitely nothing wrong with that bodywork.
This is a super run for Alex Popov. Now, I know you'll see on the graphics that his name looks like Popow, P-O-P-O-W. He told us an interesting story earlier in the year. He's Venezuelan, but his father is Russian. And when his dad moved to Venezuela, there was a... whoa. I was going to say there was an error, and there was a slight error there as he argues over the same amount of ground with Emil Assuntato. There was an error with the immigration documents. And instead of putting a W, they put a V. So he said, instead of putting a V, they put a W. And he said, we actually pronounce our name Popov.
It's a bit like you when your mum actually gave you a boy's name, they gave you a girl's name.
They spelt it a girl's way. They were hedging their bets.
That
Look at this race
right there. Emil Assuntato didn't have a clue that that car was underneath him. And all it was a door slam. Side-to-side contact, no damage, it doesn't appear.
This is a great race going on between Memo Rojas and David Donahue for third. And Rojas knows he's under pressure by going to that inside line, heading up to the bus stop.
Yeah, he made his intentions known. Don't even think about it, David. I'm not going to let you have the inside line. But Memo's doing a good job here. There's a lot of pressure on these boys. A championship lead, and Scott Pruitt said this is a big, big weekend. And he recognized if they can have a good run here, that may really put them in a position for the championship. Will make it difficult to overtake.
Whoa, Donahue wants that position.
Well, David had a hard time getting by the last time. He finally did, in fact, do it. I think he'll get by again, but it's not going to be an easy deal.
They round up David Reagan.
He did it right here before. He got a good run off this final corner. He managed to dive down the inside on Memo. You see Memo using all of the curve there. Most of the guys will do that right up to that blue Armco.
Memo Rojas still not happy with the 0-1. Timmy Keene just told me it's a lot looser than we wanted. And right after that, I heard Memo on the radio say it's the same car. It's loose on the way in, pushy on the way off.
Well, now if David sees that it's loose on the way in, he's got to push and really make Memo go into these corners deeply.
And that's one thing that Scott Pruitt can hang on to. He can handle a car that's a little freer, a little bit looser. Memo doesn't like that. He likes a car that pushes a little bit. And they had been finding a push all weekend long. We talk about, again, you're guessing on the setup a little bit for the race. Maybe they just went a bit too aggressive in terms of the setup, trying to get rid of that push. Look at this. Traffic there. Shelduck to the inside. Memo takes it around the inside. David was just waiting and trying to see how it was going to play out.
And the loose-in situation at some racetracks is okay, but this racetrack is really, really fast. Loose-in on a fast racetrack is not good.
GT Championship contenders Auto House Racing. The 88 made an unexpected stop. Chris Neville, what's the deal?
Bill Lester and Jordan Taylor just 1 point behind in this GT Championship. And Bill, you made that unexpected pit stop there. What was the strategy all about?
Yeah, that really was our strategy. Where we started in 18th was not indicative of our speed. And really what we were trying to do is just get into our window so Jordan can take over and we take care of business.
Well, this team has one win this year, Brian.
Ryan DL down at Starworks, and we talked to Jörg Bergmeister about sharing the car with Podolitico, but right now, Andrew Popov, your teammate, flying in that Ford Riley. Bill Riley was telling me earlier this week, and these cars are probably the best you guys have had all year long. Is that true?
Yeah, it's been a difficult year for us, and I think that this weekend we've been really, really fast. On night practice last night, on old tires were one of the quickest cars, so we're definitely confident, but the job Alex is doing is incredible. It's definitely some added pressure on me. I've never gotten in the car in second, so I'm hoping just not to screw it up at this point.
So what's more nerve-wracking, driving on the racetrack right now or watching the big screen behind us? You seem glued to it.
I mean, he's been driving kind of with perfection, and, you know, we saw traces of Alex's potential at Homestead this year, and I think right now he's a racer, and every weekend we get better with him. I think we know we've got some consistent cars. Bill Riley's done an excellent job the past 2 weekends, and since we rolled out here, we've been good. It's made my job easy, so fingers crossed.
Ryan Dial, quite a racer as well, and he's looking forward to his shot behind the wheel.
Getting back to that Auto House strategy, I like it. What they did, they managed to get Jordan Taylor in the car and stay on the lead lap of the GT car, the leader being Rob Liddell. That was a good sound move in terms of strategy there.
GT, it's Liddell, Sheldack, Reagan still third, Dallalana, and then Assuntato, that's the top five. Overall, it's Ricky Taylor, Popov, Rojas, Donahue, and Podolicchio. Then Mark Bundell is sixth, Bert Frizzell is seventh, and Paul Edwards has got his way back up into the top eight. Speed's coverage of the Rolex Sports Car Series is brought to you by Sunoco, the official fuel of Grand Am and fuel provider to 40 other racing series. By creditreport.com. See your credit score in seconds. creditreport.com. and by Chevrolet and their award-winning cars, trucks and crossovers. Speaking of cars, need to tell you about the dumbest stuff on wheels. It's one of the new shows on Speed. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's pretty funny. There's some stupid situations. And speaking about dumb stuff on wheels, there's an esteemed member of our broadcast team who just happens to be sitting in between Dorsey Schrader and myself, who got his car bogged yesterday in the TV compound by driving it into a pile of mud. Calvin, do you know who that might be?
Perfect segue, huh? I don't know who it was. I think my brain was switched on yesterday. Oh, look at this. Popov loses it a little bit under braking. Down into turn one, Rojas and Donahue pounce, but still a great run. He just got a little bit squirrely there. Dorsey had to release the brakes to not make the matters worse.
That was a few moments ago while we're in that commercial break. So Popov is now behind the car you ride on here, David Donahue. So Rojas is back up to second. However, the race leader, Ricky Taylor, for the SunTrust Dallara team is some 9 seconds out in front.
Watch this right now, though. We've been observing this right now.
That's tight.
Rojas, through this part of the racetrack, Cal, look at this pull away. I don't know if that's horsepower, gearing.
Yeah. I feel it might just be the gearing, because we know this Porsche V8 has good power, and you know, the BMW's been packed back a little bit with RPMs. I think it's just where you grab the gears. They're like little plateaus there as you come up through the S's, and you really want to time those so you're on a plateau when you're hitting that next gear.
You know, David Donahue be tucked right up underneath Memo Rojas, and I get that part of the racetrack, and you just see Memo just be able to drive away. It's got to be frustrating.
Got to switch gears. Let's talk GT. Let's talk Stevenson Motorsports, because Robin Liddell has done a faultless, a superb job in this race thus far. He has not been headed in the GT class. He boasts a healthy lead over fellow Camaro driver Gunter Shaldak. And then David Reagan, the Roush Fenway Sprint Cup driver and now Sprint Cup race winner, still runs third. So this has been good. We knew the Camaros were strong. Dorsey, you flagged it right at the top of the show. The GM product is strong here at Watkins Glen.
And no question about it. You know, we talked about how far they go. 43 is spun here, and that's in the inner loop.
It's Joe Salin, the man behind the name on the car.
You know, we were talking about the fact, Calvin, that whether or not these cars can keep the tires under. Right now, of course, with the segmented caution flag that we had, the Camaros seem to be at the top of the field.
Yeah, certainly the Camaro looks really good out front right now. This is a great battle between two of the championship contenders. 59 of Andrew Davis, the 70 car. On the line astern there.
Left-hand side of your screen is Enzo Potolicchio getting out, and former Daytona prototype champion here in Grand Am, Jörg Bergmeister, climbing aboard the two.
Remember, last time we saw him, he was on the pole at Daytona and basically dominated the early laps of that race. He's very familiar with Porsche power. Of course, won many, many championships in the GT form of racing, and he just gets the job done. He's a man who wins championships on a regular basis.
It's the battle for fifth in GT that we're looking at right now. Actually, fourth is right up in front of him.
Second place is on pit road. Memo Rojas has brought the 01 in. Brian?
Memo Rojas climbs out. Scott Pruitt climbing in. It'll be 4 Continental tires, a full load of Sunoco fuel. Also, the 8 of Alex Popov just rolled down pit road. The 2 just before that, as you called the stop. Pruitt will take over a car that, according to Memo Rojas, not particularly good right now. A little loose on the way in, pushing off of the corner. So Scott Pruitt likes the car a little bit stiffer. We'll see what he can do with the 01.
Calvin actually looked right there like one of those tires was blistered as it took off. That would explain the ill handling. I think that was a front, possibly left front.
Memo was really hanging on. We didn't hear of the Ganassi group having any problems with front tires, but we did hear of a couple of blisters on other teams with their fronts, and it really comes down to the massive understeer they're experiencing. Leader in GT is in.
Robin Liddell handing over to Jan Magnussen. This team only winning one time this year, back Memorial Day at Lime Rock. The weekend after that, the 6 hours of the Glen, Robin Liddell had a crash on just the 4th lap of that race. So bad run here last time we were at the Glen. Running well today, and just checked in with Mike Johnson. He said this car is running really well. 4 new Continental tires and a full dump of Sunoco fuel. Brian?
Ricky Taylor brings the number 10 SunTrust Chevy to pit road, and right now, Max Angelelli will take over the wheel. He'll run the final 2 stints. The tires look good. The Contis, they came off of it. 4 new Continental Sunoco fuel. Angelelli underway, looking for their 3rd win of 2011.
I think, again, once one of the other leaders pits, you really have to come in, because if there's a caution, the pit lane is closed and you lose that lead immediately. Here we see Mark Blundell jumping out. Great opening stint for him. And great strategy by Mike Shank and the boys.
As we said at the beginning of the show, this is the fastest racetrack these cars run on, and it's primarily all right-hand corners, and with a lot of load. With the elevation here, it really hammers the left side. Blisters occur when the tire itself exceeds its temperature limit, and it actually blisters the tire, and the blister pops, puts a little hole in the tire. Not that it goes flat, but it really is an ill-handling piece of tire.
I wonder if Mark Blundell enjoyed his stint for everything he achieved in Formula One and IndyCar and sports cars. He's never raced at Watkins Glen, so we hope he enjoyed it. Here we look at the 67 TRG machine. Spencer Pumpelly took the wheel quite some time ago from Steve Berthoud. This battle's not going away, is it? The 59 of Andrew Davis and Sylvain Tremblay.
Remember, these guys have pitted. The top four in class right now. The only cars ahead of them have not made a pit stop, so these guys are in really good shape fuel-wise.
So we wait for Sheldak, we wait for Reagan, Dallalana, and Emil Asentato. Here he is on cue, behind the wheel, and his home race in New York. On every Grand Am Rolex Series broadcast, we always remind you about your chance to score a free entry for the Continental Tire Dream giveaway and win 2 brand new Porsches. What it is one lucky winner will take home a one-of-a-kind Hurley Haywood Edition 2011 Porsche GT3, in addition to a 2011 Porsche Cayenne S Hybrid. This is a great competition, and it supports Grand Am's official charity, Camp Boggy Creek. And all you've got to do is go to wintheporsches.com/free ticket. And this week, the promo code is SPEED. Promo code is SPEED. Continental Tire race summary so far. The leader up front in the 61 is Bert Frizzell for AIM Autosport in the Gamma 88 machine. Down to Shaldak Leaf GT, who's yet to come in though. We'll see that 07 car pit. And we've just had the one caution for 3 laps.
Yeah, great strategy there by Ian Willis and the boys. They brought Bert Frizzell in on that early caution and topped him up. So we'll be able to stretch this probably to about lap 50 plus. So we heard laps 41, 43 lap number, and he's got 12 laps since he last pitted. So I think they're going to be able to stretch it way past the 50 mark and maybe catch a break with yellow. Got to roll the dice a little bit disappointed with qualifying.
There is the 07 Cool TV Camaro. Leighton Reese's boys servicing it and sending it, and Oliver Gavin is back in Grand Am Rolex Series GT competition. And speaking of GT, while we're in that last commercial break, the 11 Mustang came into pit. David Reagan did a good job driving it up to 3rd. Let's hear what he thought about it.
Yeah, drove it up to 3rd place, but David, now you handed it over to your teammate Ricky Stenhouse Jr. You've never had to do this before. Sit and watch the rest of the race. How's that sitting with you?
It's a little weird. It's weird to hear the car still out there. I feel like I've done something wrong getting out of the car, but can't thank Jack Roush and Ford Racing. Everyone on the Black Forest team for putting this deal together. Ricky and I needed some extra seat time, and thanks to UPS and all for allowing me to come over and do this. It's been fun.
I know the car was pretty tight all weekend long. How was it today?
It gets even tighter in traffic, but once the field streams out some, it actually has some pretty good grip, so a lot of fun.
Well, he won his first Cup race in July. Maybe he'll win his first Rolex race today.
See my old boss Jack Roush back there with the stopwatch clicking away. That's a good thing for these guys to do. These cars are pretty similar to what a Nationwide car feels like. The Nationwide car has more horsepower. These cars are a little bit lighter, a little bit better handling, so forth, but it's a good deal to do.
Brian?
Speed Source Mazda number 69 is on pit road. Emil Asentato is out. Jeff Siegel taking over. A little bit long on the driver change, but that's okay. Still waiting for that full load of Sunoco fuel. The Continental tires are underway. They just did not have the performance they wanted out of this Mazda today. But remember back in New Jersey where we had Mazdas 1, 2, 3, see if Speed Source can move back up front.
Looked like Emil was getting caught trying to get out of the car as we continue to talk about the 11. This is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. taking a very wide line at turn 1.
Yeah, I think that may have been cold tires. They just didn't have the front bite. And I spoke to Brad Francis about the setup on the car. He said, Jack Tommy, put some understeer in the car for the boys to get used to it, and then gradually change the balance. They put the car on a 7-post rig, got some good sim numbers, so they rolled off the truck really, really good here.
You saw really some maturity right there. Once he realized he was in trouble, what he didn't do, he didn't lock the front wheels and tires up, which would have flat spotted him. He just rode it out, just kept calm through the whole process right there.
Here we see Bert Frizzell in the Gamma 88 machine. Oh, really tight there with the GT traffic. Billy Ortland behind the wheel. They made a differential change right before qualifying yesterday, and that really put a lot more push into the car than they were hoping for. The car was a little bit free in the early practice sessions. They've backed off a little bit between what they had and what they started with, and hopefully they've got a balance in the car. This is a team that has skipped the last couple of rounds, but they will be competing here and at Montreal with the Gamma 88 sponsorship on board.
These differentials have dual ramps in them, so what you can do is you can change the amount of grip that the car has when you get on the throttle. Also, though, when you get off of the throttle, that helps the car turn through the center of the corner.
There is no denying the talent of 22-year-old Ricky Taylor. 6 times on the pole this year. His teammate Max Angelelli has taken over the 10. What's Ricky got to say about his opening stint?
Well, the big question today was how was the track going to be with all the different rubber? You and I talked about that, Ricky. It looks like that Dallara with the Chevy Power really hooked up. How good was it out there, and how difficult was traffic?
Yeah, our SunTrust engineers over here, they made some changes to the car, kind of on the conservative side to compensate for that NASCAR rubber. So they seem to have done a pretty good job. Car is doing very well, not dropping off on the long runs. So I think Max has a good car under him. It's just a matter of traffic, really.
Now, you've led laps now in 15 straight races. I know you'd like to lead the last one. How hard was it difficult to hand over to Max?
I mean, it's great to be leading laps. I think that's the one thing that you can take out of the races. The car has a lot of speed, and we just need to kind of bring some more of these home.
Well, he did everything right, didn't he? He set it up for his teammate Angelelli to capitalise as he comes through on the inside of the defending GT Series champ in the FXDD Mazda. Jeff Siegel now behind the wheel. We're getting ever so close to the halfway mark in this 2-hour sprint. Stay with us.
Well, one of the most recognizable cars in America, if not the whole world, is the Chevrolet Camaro. And have a look at this beautiful Chevrolet SS Camaro pace car. It is the official pace car this weekend at Watkins Glen. Well, normally pace cars are outfitted with a lot of different accessories, and this is no exception. With the 21-inch wheel package that sits on this car, it's beautiful alongside of its ground effects, which is the side moldings, the rear spoiler, rear diffuser, as well as the paint job itself. You can get all of these accessories for your Camaro right from GM. This is red hot red with silver platinum ice striping, and it looks really good. Well, not by coincidence, I parked the Camaro SS alongside the old Grand Prix circuit here at Watkins Glen, and I say, let's take it for a spin. Can you imagine in the 1950s being in a Grand Prix car coming down this straightaway at over 150 miles an hour, knowing you're going to hit this railroad track and fly into the air? Well, if you think that's something, wait till you see what's up ahead. The downhill run back into town is absolutely daunting. Severe downgrade here. You're headed down this road at 150 miles per hour, and remember, your tires are only 6 inches wide. Now, if I can take this Camaro back to the 1950s and line up for the grid, I've got 400 horsepower under the hood. I've got 21-inch wheels with big tires and huge brakes. Anybody want to bet who's going to win the Grand Prix this year?
Nice piece, Dorse, but I noticed you crossed a double yellow line. So for the local authorities, that's Dorsey A. Schrader of Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri.
You're on the brakes a bit early in that down.
I'm scared.
Here's a good chase going on here. The 07, we know Ollie Gavin is behind the wheel. The 66 of Duncan Endy and Andy Lally. Andy's back in the Grand Am Series. Of course, he's racing his Sprint Cup car here tomorrow, but Andy is back, and look at this mad scramble at the front. The 01 of Pruitt, Ryan Dial is now behind the wheel of the 8, so it's a race to the finish at the halfway mark.
Yeah, Dial is really licking his chop this weekend. He really feels he's got a good setup on this 8 car, and good teammate. He's really looking forward to the run here today.
Interesting to see what Scott Pruitt can do with the 01. I'm almost positive I saw blistered tires on that when Memo Rojas turned it over to him. If that's the case, it's not a very well-handling car for sure.
Here is the race leading car, the Gamma 88 number 61 of Bert Frizzell. But Chris, we'll see that car coming in shortly because Bert's been out there for some 34 laps.
Yeah, just checked in with Ian Willis. He said they will be in probably in the next 10 minutes or so. And he said earlier that they did not have a good setup on this car. They've only raced, this is their 5th race of the year, and racing part-time has really been difficult on this team. He said they unloaded from the truck yesterday, and they were just junk. So today was really a mystery setup, and that setup is working and working well. That damage you see at the left rear corner, I asked him about that, and he said it's not affecting the handling of the car. That was from the first pit stop. He told Bert to launch, get out of the box, but Mark Blundell was to his outside, so he was a little bit too aggressive getting out of the box, and that was not Bert's fault. That was the team manager's fault, Ian Willis, and he said, I take all the blame.
Kind of surprised it hasn't hurt the handling because he's lost about a foot of the rear spoiler.
Yeah, and there's just over an hour to go, so they told me they could go about 41 laps on fuel, so they're at 35 right now, so if they can do 6 more laps, it's about 7 more minutes. That'll put them at 53 minutes to go. They're just outside the window. They need some help with yellow, otherwise they'll be needing a splash over field to get to the checkered flag.
GT class leader is the 59 Brumos Porsche of Andrew Davis. Sylvain Tremblay is still hot in pursuit in second. However, these guys have been out there for quite a while as well. Some 31 laps for Davis, Tremblay. Spencer Pumpelly is third in the 67 TRG after taking over from Steve Bertho. James Gouet for Dempsey Racing is on the same. So too is John Potter and Wayne Nonamaker.
Andrew Davis, he's another one of the teams that decided to take that early yellow, and they're going to need a little bit of help here too, I think. Have to wait and see how this thing plays out. 32 laps into this run, they can probably go about another 10 laps.
Now Capital One halfway race leader is Bert Frizzell for the AIM Autosport team in the Gamma 88 BMW powered Riley. Let's get a GT update from the Cool TV gang. Brian?
Well, Gunter Schaldock came in, pitted out of the lead in the Cool TV Camaro. Gunter, what a spectacular drive. What kind of Camaro did you hand over to Ollie Gavin to see if he can get back up front?
Oh, the car is awesome. The car is awesome. I mean, it was so relaxing to drive that car. I got in it. The first couple of laps, I'm like, wow, this is really easy. Which it's not usually. Usually you're sweating and going, oh my gosh, this isn't doing what I wanted to do. The car did everything perfectly. Camaro was awesome.
We've seen a bigger entry this weekend than we've seen in a while in the Rolex Sports Car Series. How was traffic out there on the short course today?
You know, the traffic wasn't so bad. I seemed to catch it in the right spot, like when people would pass me, the TPs. But catching some of the slower cars, you know, you never really know what someone's going to do. So you'll hope they do what you want them to do. And if they don't, you're in trouble. And Leighton kept getting on the radio and he kept saying, okay, you know, take it easy, you're in a good spot, don't do anything stupid. And I'm like, well, I got to get by this guy in front of me, but I don't know what he's going to do. So it was challenging still, but it was the easiest car I've ever driven.
A lot of high fives down here at Leighton Reese Performance Group when Gunter climbed out. Now they'll see what Ollie Gavin can do.
Remember, as we showed you earlier in the program, that orange Cool TV Camaro is the one that went flying. That's for sure. You just saw Darren Law there aboard the 5. We'll be back. Wednesday nights at 9 Eastern here on Speed. It's My Ride Rules, where 4 car fanatics face off in a pretty wild car competition. Don't miss, it's an all-new episode coming up this Wednesday night at 9 Eastern. My Ride Rules. We're back at the Glen as sun starts to set, and the 3 is Smash Racing Corvette, sponsored by Sonny Whelan, owned by Sonny Whelan, has come in. Joey Logano did a pretty decent job. He's just climbing over the wall there, and Big Boris Said is now behind the wheel. They want to try and drive this 3 to victory lane if they can.
This is what's strange. We were talking about it earlier. Look at the front tire of the 3. Watch behind the wheel while all of a sudden we're going to see fluid come out of there. Right there. Just dumps out. Starts into a spin with Joey Logano. We have not figured out yet what that was about.
Yeah, because he continued. I mean, he hasn't had any repair affected on that race car, and it continued to run for many, many laps. So, bizarre situation, Chris.
Well, Joey Logano getting his taste of Rolex action here. It's been a bit of a trying weekend for this team because Joey Logano's so quick in a couple practice sessions yesterday and then had to pull out the backup car. But Joey, going to that backup car, how's it working for you?
Yeah, it was just the backup car wasn't as good as the primary, that's for sure. And we're making time there in restarts, and the car is good through the right-handers. The left-handers, like there's nothing holding you in the back.
at all. It's like it's really, really loose in the left-handers for some reason. So I spun out through the bus stop, and even through the S's there, I was hanging on with the thing. So I don't know what's different about it, but whatever it is quite a bit different. So either way, I had fun. I learned a lot, and see what boys can do out there now.
First time running with another class out there. How was that?
The DP cars are a lot faster. That's for sure. They run you over. It's probably a lot of fun to be one of those guys. You're driving this thing, you're just like, where are they coming from? So it's just, it's pretty interesting, but it's been a pretty cool race, pretty cool experience. Glad I did it.
Well, he finished third in the nationwide race today, and he's got the Cup race tomorrow. The Joey's on, and he's doing well.
It's still leaking water, guys. I just saw it again with Boris. As he went through there, right behind the right front tire, there's fluid, and I'm not too sure that's not what Joey's talking about on these left-handers. It's dumping something out. I'm surprised they haven't found that.
Yes, maybe some kind of overflow or something, I don't know, but it was quite bizarre there, and certainly contributed to his spin there at this section of the racetrack.
This Mike Shank Crown Royal Ford Riley has been very quick this weekend. John Pugh was really in the groove. Oz Negri's behind the wheel now. The car currently sits 7th and has been very consistent all weekend long. We'll see what Oz has got for the rest of them as we get deeper into this second half of the race. How about the 9 of Joao Barbosa? There's a real story behind this car, Dawes.
Yeah, no question about it. This car was damaged, crashed quite heavily with Terry Porcheller, who normally drives it. Terry broke his wrist, and I'll tell you the story about that real quick. He broke his wrist, got the x-rays. He is insured by John Borside, who insures most of these race car drivers. John immediately got those x-rays off to Terry Trammell in Indy. They sent him on down to Florida where Terry Porcheller lives. He will have surgery on that wrist come Monday morning, and hopefully we'll see him behind the wheel very shortly. The crew did a fantastic job to rebuild that entire front end for J.C. France to start that car today.
You see a big number 100 on the front of car number 9. That's because J.C. France is celebrating his 100th Daytona prototype race. Well done, J.C.
This is a new car that we're seeing for the first time, the 97 car from Alliance Motorsports. Scott Reddick and Mark Jensen behind the wheel this weekend. Two really good young drivers. Mark Jensen actually did some karting with the Taylor boys. They're based down in Florida as well. And here we see another good battle going on in this GT field. They're going to be throughout this all day long.
These guys, these three cars have been doing this now for, what, an hour and
well, what you'll notice, courtesy of that last round of stops, the 70 has leapfrogged the 59. So after trailing the Brumos Porsche all that while, finally the black machine is up in front. Spencer Pumpelly, incidentally, leads the GT class for TRG.
I would think these guys have to fuel very shortly. They've been out a long time.
Well, both the 70 and the 59 have been in the last couple of laps, so they're playing that strategy. But, you know, we're talking about a 45-minute window, so they're about 5 minutes out of that right now, Dorsey, even making that pit stop pretty late.
Race leader is in.
Bert Fazell handing over to Mark Wilkins, saying that the car working pretty well. He said he was picking up a little bit of a vibration those last couple laps. I think the tires are just worn out on this car. They're going to do a gurney change at the back, going with a little bit shorter gurney, so I imagine this car a little bit tight, even with the damage at the left rear corner. This team doing a great pit stop. Only they've done 5 races this year, so they should be proud of that. I think they're going to be a little bit short on fuel. Ian Willis was telling me that if they don't have to come back to pit lane, it's because they're going to need a caution. They need at least 1 lap of caution. Brian?
Down at Dempsey Racing, Patrick Dempsey out of the 4-0. Joe Foster is taking it back over. A little problem with the driver. Now Foster back underway. The first time Patrick Dempsey's been around the short course. He said he was having a ball.
Jeff Siegel has got by Lee Keane, and we understand there was a pretty close call. Let's show you the replay. Let's show you what went down between these two guys who have been GT champions.
Ooh,
look at this. Bomarito had already got around Lee Keane, and there you see Jeff Siegel pushing the issue down the inside. The championship is on the line. We talked about it being moving day. You've got to make a statement. Here he comes.
Oh, up on the curve, that bumps it out wide. Close quarters racing.
Spoke to Jeff this morning. He said it's not flat through the S's when the tires are worn. You could hear him feathering the throttle right there.
Chris?
Well, Bert Frizzell had a great run in the Gamma 88 car. And Bert, we just looked at the left front that came off that car. Big blisters around the inside shoulder.
Yeah, I had a big vibration probably the last 20 laps. We knew this place is hard on tires.
Continental provides a great tire. Obviously, it made it, so we asked it to do a lot. I can't thank the Gamma 88 guys enough. Hopefully the strategy is exactly the way we wanted, and Ian's given us a good car. We had no lift shift, so here that hurts because you have to lift every time you shift, but Mark's going to be able to fight.
Well, they've got their hands full, but they've also got a very fast car.
So Bert brought the Gamma 88 machine in, Spencer Pumpelly has brought the TRG Porsche in, and we've got a little bit more than 3/4 of an hour to run. Stay with us.
Thursday, prepare for an explosive all-new American trucker.
Fire at will, Rob. Fire at will.
Boom! As Rob delivers a massive load of fireworks.
Don't drop it!
American Trucker is all new Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern on Speed.
Well, the sun beginning to set here at Watkins Glen, and in the GT class, Andrew Davis, Lee Keene, you guys trying to hold on to that championship lead, but right now, Andrew, you got out of that 5.9, the Brumos Porsche. How good is it out there, and does Lee Keene have anything to fight with?
Well, I think we have something to fight with. I don't think we have the fastest car, but I do feel like we have the best team out there. As the sun goes down, that'll be better for us as the track temperature comes down, and we're just going to have to wait and see. It's going to be very close on fuel, so we're going to have to look at that. But we've got a car we can fight with for sure, so we hope to have that Brumos Porsche stay up front.
Well, they came in with a 1-point lead over Jordan Taylor and Bill Luster. They will see if they can leave Watkins Glen with a little bit more in hand.
And here is the car that Andrew Davis used to drive, 57 Stevenson Camaro. It now leads, is back in the lead of the GT class at the hands of Jan Magnussen.
With just under 45 minutes to go, as you can see on screen, and that's really the number that I think the teams have to get within to be able to make a stop now and make it to the checkered flag. So I'd say anyone now, if they stop in either of the two classes, would be good to go. Get back to the aim situation. I think they're really, really close, within a lap or two of making it to the checkered flag. And a lot of the other DP leaders will definitely need fuel here.
That's what 2.6 seconds looks like. Max Angelelli back to Scott Pruitt. And Max had some indifferent feelings for Scott Pruitt. The two have always got on in their history in Grand Am. He was unhappy with Scott Pruitt, who accidentally, by his own admission, bumped into the back of Ricky Taylor at New Jersey Motorsports Park a couple of weeks ago. Chris, what's going on with the three?
Tough weekend for this team, obviously, with this backup car, but that power steering fluid is leaking out of the car, and that's what Dorsey and Calvin saw earlier in the race. Boris saying, no more power steering, and it's been leaking on the right rear tire. So he wants to get back out there, but he says, can't leak on the right rear anymore, guys.
Have a look at this. This is for the lead of the race, and Pruitt, there must have been traffic impacting Angelelli because Pruitt just grabbed him by 2.5 seconds, and all of a sudden it's on for the lead.
Yeah, 57 there was right in the mix, of course. They currently lead GT with Jan Magnussen behind the wheel, so if there is any rivalry going on that's been flaring up a little bit in recent weeks, Max Angelelli can make a statement right here on it.
Folks, do you remember at the top of the show we said these 2-hour sprints are just fantastic? It's the fast and furious like you've never seen. These races never disappoint. This 2-hour format, and here we have it again with 43 minutes to go. It's on.
And they're both on a very similar strategy. They stop within a lap of each other, so they're going to be hitting pit lane around about the same time. So this race is on.
You got to wonder now with Scott Pruitt's car if they've got that handling done or if Scott is just able to drive it within the limits. Of course, we saw tire trouble when Memo got out of the car. How hard can he push right now?
Well, I think that's one of Scott Pruitt's, he's got so many great aspects to his driving, but he drives the car to what the tire will give him. He doesn't overdrive the car in the early laps of his stint, and that's why he's been so impressive towards the end of some of these races this year. But right now, he sees a Max Angelelli, and one thing we've seen from Pruitt in recent weeks, he really attacks when the moment is there, he goes for it.
Well, he does that. You hate to see him on the attack in your rearview mirror.
Let's tell you a GT story that involves one of the front-running GT cars. It's the 07 Cool TV Camaro. Watch what happens here with Ollie Gavin.
Ollie just didn't know that was happening.
I thought I saw him hit pit lane just a moment ago, and here's a replay of it again. 5 car down on the inside. There's Darren Law, just faster DP car. Ollie had committed there, and he's in the thick of a battle, so that's a shame. They're having a great run here today.
57's in, Chris.
Jan Magnussen doing his final stop. This team saying we are so far out of this championship. All we're looking for is wins in these last 3 races. Not today.
One thing I spoke to Johnny Stevenson this morning about was if the 88 are in that championship battle and you're suddenly running close together, what are you willing to do for the GM camp? He said, The line in the sand is a podium. I'm not giving up a podium or a win for the sake of another GM team, but if anything further down the field than that, I will certainly help them out.
And here's the deal. Chevrolet is third in the Manufacturers' Championship. The 01 comes in, and it's very tight. We'll talk more about that in a moment, Brian.
Scott Pruitt to the marks. They have been working on this car all day long. Tim Keene, Scott Pruitt talking back and forth on the radio about adjusting the sway bars. I'm looking at the tires that are coming off. The left front Continental looks much better than it did last time. No blisters there. The right front, still some blisters on that right front Continental as it came off the Sunoco fuel going in. Pruitt will head back out. With just about 30 minutes left to go, I believe, in this event.
That really surprises me that if there's blisters, they're on the right front. You'll see the left front is the one that gets pounded around this place.
Yeah, I'm wondering what they're doing with the cross weights on that car. And it's primarily all the corners here are right-hand corners, so the left side's take the problem. They might be biasing for that, and it's hurt the right front.
I think this will drive the 10 car to maybe do a pit stop here pretty quickly. You can't afford, once again, we talk about it every week, you can't afford to get a caution here and lose the cushion you have.
And it was good reaction by team manager Tim Keene to bring the 01 in, because Pruitt lost time that he gained on the 10 due to GT traffic, and the 10 team respond. SunTrust boys are in. Brian's there.
Max Angelelli to the marks. It'll be interesting to see the Continental tires that come off of this Dallara Chevrolet. We saw an improvement on the tires on the 01, and we saw great tires come off the 10 on the first stop. Right front looks good. Left front good as well. Now the team taking care of the tires. The Continentals are on, waiting for the Sunoco fuel. They're Angelelli underway.
Okay, which team had the more efficient pit stop? Where is Pruitt? Where is Angelelli when he leaves pit lane? Pruitt, remember, will have a bit more heat in his tires. Can Angelelli maintain the track position and then defend from a really hot Scott Pruitt? Look in the background. Pruitt will be coming in that final corner any moment. There he is.
Now, how fast can Angelelli get the temperature in these tires? He might have to do a little bit of blocking here to hold this.
He's going to maintain it. The good news for Angelelli is there's some traffic now in between he and Pruitt, because Pruitt, this lap will be much faster than Angelelli's.
He's run wide at one.
Well, he's pushing hardly. He's really pushing hard. He will have got that radio communication from Tim Keene that the 10 car was in, and Pruitt would have been pushing really hard on tires that are not quite up to pressure yet, Dorsey.
No, you're absolutely right. And he's been on the radio, and they're telling him, get what you can get.
It's easy to criticize when they make mistakes, and the SunTrust team have been outfoxed by Ganassi on occasion this year. This time they respond, and they respond well. Speed's coverage of the Rolex Sports Car Series is brought to you by AutoZone. For the auto parts, accessories, and advice you need, get in the zone. AutoZone. And by Chevrolet and their award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers. Speaking of cars, not cows, need to remind you of the car show. Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. That man there, Adam Carolla. It's an all-new episode. Adam pits the Corvette ZR1 against Calvin's new car, the Mercedes SLS, in a supercar showdown. Don't miss the car show. It's Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern right here on Speed. Hey, Brian Till is standing by with a very special person here at the Glen. Brian, take it away.
Well, Jeff Gordon certainly knows the SunTrust team well. Jeff, you ran with him at the Rolex 24. You come here to Watkins Glen. It's hard to walk away from a Grand Am race, isn't it?
Oh, I love it. You know, it's so much different than what we do. And I had such an awesome time in Daytona years ago with Wayne. I just love seeing, this team perform like this here at Watkins Glen. So can't help but come over here and root them on and watch how competitive this race has turned out to be.
Well, I know you were a very young driver when you started. You opened a lot of people's eyes. When you look at Wayne Taylor and his two sons, Jordan and Ricky, and you look at their youth and yet their performance, does it kind of remind you of you a few years back?
Well, I just love how Wayne's approached it with his kids. And now that I have children, it makes me think about it. I'll take some tips from Wayne, but both of the kids are just doing awesome. And, I remember when I met Ricky when I ran this the Daytona race, to see him mature and turn into the race car driver that he is, it's all because of how Wayne got him into racing. They appreciate it. They've had to work hard at it, and they've obviously got a lot of talent. So I think it's very cool, and I look forward to watching years of it.
Well, I know you want to watch it, but when are you going to do it again? That's what the fans at home want to know. When are you going to get back into Daytona prototype, maybe at the Rolex?
Yeah, it's just tough to fit in the schedule. I want to be competitive, and I want to go test and do everything that it takes to be a proper driver in the car. So, especially with two kids now, that off-season gets narrower and narrower all the time, and you know, doing so much with our team with the DuPont Chevrolet and our Drive to Hunger Chevrolet. So we'll see. I never say never, and I'd love to get back in there and do it again. It's always when I'm watching, I say I got to get back out there and do it again. And you know, we'll see.
Good luck this weekend.
It's the 50th anniversary, Jeff. Come on. We want you there.
It's going to be a special one. We're all looking forward to that. I think there'll be some big names attracted to the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, and remember, we go to Indianapolis, too, and you can bet he would like to be in the car there, I would think.
Let's talk GT because the 57 leads the way. Lee Keane is up to second. And there's some good news if you're a Dempsey Racing fan. Dane Cameron in the 41 is up to third.
Yeah, they're having a great one. They had some problems in qualifying. There's some power steering issues which caught out James Dewey. He had a quick spin down in the final corner. Nearly got collected by teammate Patrick Dempsey. They've corrected those. Qualified 20th, and right now Dane Cameron is up to third, but both he and the 59 car need a bit of help on fuel. They've got 15 laps on the board. There's 33 minutes to go. That will not fly, so they need a yellow, I think. Otherwise, they're going to need a splash.
Well, we talked about this racetrack being really tough on tires. It's also really tough on power steering. Because of the load, the artificial load that uphill SS puts on the car, it overheats the pumps, and it makes the power steering fail, like we saw on the number 3 Corvette.
Dane told me this morning, or earlier this afternoon, he said out of yesterday's, what we have, 3 hours on track, he said we probably did 1 hour.
Yeah, they lost the gearbox too and had all sorts of issues. And it's just hard. They rolled off the truck quick, but you can't afford to lose a couple hours of track time.
And you can't afford to discount Kevin Buckler's TRG team here at Watkins Glen. These boys know how to do it. It's Spencer Pumpelli, a multi-time Rolex 24 winner. He's taken over from Steve Bertho. He only pitted 11 laps ago. He's got enough gas. He's good to go to the end, and he's back up to 4th already.
Yeah, he could be looking good for a podium here unless we see a caution. So he just drives these cars week in, week out. He had a big win in a Porsche at Mid-Ohio just last weekend.
42 is up inside the top 5. That's the Salins Mazda. And John Edwards has taken over from Wayne Nonamaker. Good run here, Chris.
Yeah, John Edwards, he is having a great run here, and he had a great run just a couple weeks ago at New Jersey with his team getting 2nd place there. I talked to John right before the race. Lots of rumors floating around this paddock on where he's going to be next year. A lot of those rumors are pointing that he's going to be with Stevenson in a Camaro. I talked with Stevenson. They wouldn't confirm or deny that. I talked to John Edwards. He kind of just smiled at his face and said, we're not ready to announce anything. But it looks like this young man, he's done well in Formula cars. He's doing well in sports cars. And I think we're going to see him here again next year.
Well, I think it's all about the package too, Chris. He wants to try different things. And talking to Johnny Stevenson and Mike Johnson this morning, they said they were also going to try and run some nationwide road courses next year. That may be right up John Edwards' alley.
How about the 88 of Jordan Taylor? The pressure's on. Jordan wants to get that Camaro up into the top 5. Remember, he's only 1 point behind the 59 in the championship chase, and the 59's 3 positions further up the road.
Yeah, but Jordan's in much better shape fuel-wise. He's got 9 more laps of fuel than Lee Keane, so this could be a big day points-wise. Look for these guys. If they have green flag racing, they could be on top of the championship charts at the end of the day.
That hood on the 42 Mazda is loose, Dorse. It's starting to bump around. We're talking fuel. Andrew Davis is biting his fingernails. Have we got Road America all over again? We'll find out. The 5-year drought is finally over. It's the Brumos Porsche. David Donahue and Darren Law get the victory. It's close though.
Oh, he's out of fuel.
Oh,
He's out
can
of
you
fuel.
believe it? Can you believe it? But the Canadians
Wilkins.
get it.
Wilkins wins this race.
Oh, my goodness.
No, they got robbed. But victory for the AIM Autosport team. And we'll get to go to Montreal.
I checked your
weekend.
website out, mate. It wasn't on there for some reason.
Oh, there are some highlights and lowlights in everyone's
Had
career.
a couple of clangers that year.
It was one of my
Daytona.
finer moments, was it? It was the closest race in the history of Grand Am, though. Anyway, the point of the promo was we're going to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve next weekend. We look forward to seeing all the Canadian fans in Montreal once again, and it's the second to last round of the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series. These two guys at the front, Angelelli and Pruitt, are going at it, trading fast laps. They're really starting to go up the ante with 26 minutes to go.
They really are, and I tell you what, it's really a good news for the Continental Tire. They're really holding on to that grip well here this weekend. I mean, Pruitt just hit fastest lap of the race, and a couple of laps later, Angelelli responded just 1/10 slower, so they got the hammer down. And you talked about it, Lee. We've sort of questioned the SunTrust team a couple of times this year on their strategy. Today, they have executed just as they did at Lime Rock, just as they did at the 6 hours here.
What you're seeing right now is that the racetrack is cooling off. It's getting grip here. Everybody's starting to drop down some really quick times, 106.8, 106.7. You know, this top group, you see Pruitt working on the outside here.
He's not giving up. He just keeps digging deep.
The 9 of Joao Barbosa, that he is not running third. The order is Angelelli, Pruitt, Dial, Wilkins, Law, Negri, then Barbosa is further down the order in 7th place. In GT, we've got a really thrilling story going on because the 57 is still leading the way. Lee Keane, how will he be on fuel? Then we got Dane Cameron. What's his situation in the commercial break? Chris Neville spoke to TRG. He said they are touch and go on fuel for Spencer Pumpelly in 4th. John Edwards is in 5th. Who's going to have enough to get to the end? Pruitt goes wide again at last.
No, he's doing that just to gain speed, really. I mean, this racetrack has changed its complexity. When they paved all those gravel tracks, you just don't get cautions anymore.
How's the 57 Stevenson Camaro looking? Let's find out.
Well, Robin Liddell happy to see his car out front. Robin, I know it's been a tough year, 4 finishes outside of the top 10, but if you guys get a couple more wins here before the year's over, is that enough to salvage the season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been very disappointing points-wise for us. We came into the season with everything really on paper about as strong as we could hope for. And, you know, fortunately the Stevensons have had unwavering support also from Chevrolet, and we just kept fighting, and we've had a win, but the rest of the season's been pretty barren. So right now a win would make up for all of that. And, just like to say hi to Susan Stevenson watching at home today. I know she couldn't make it. Johnny's here, but I really hope we can bring the car home in the lead for you today, Susan.
And team owner John Stevenson telling me today he's committed to next year and possibly 2 cars at the Triple Crown races. Brian?
Well, down at Mike Shank Racing, AJ Allmendinger's down here, and you refuse to get off the box because you're taller than me by doing that, bud. But it's hard to get you away from Grand Am races. You're always at the Rolex 24. I know you got a great relationship with Mike Shank. Looking to maybe next January for the 50th Rolex 24.
If he has me back, I'm there. You know, every year I tell him we're gonna win this thing or we're gonna die trying. So you know, I love being at the Grand Am races. It's cool when they're here with the Sprint Cup Series, and next year we get a few more together. So maybe one of these times I actually let Mike talk me into driving one other than a Daytona. But just having a lot of fun. Guys are fast right now. Oswaldo's throwing it down. We just need a yellow, like a debris caution or something.
I know you were fast yesterday. You'll be starting up on the front, but Calvin was just looking at your nose, wondering if maybe you were out there planking a little bit earlier.
You know, I mean, sometimes you got to throw down. Actually, I got my butt whipped by my dog, so my dog won. But it's all about having fun.
It's hard when even your dog doesn't love you, right, Cal?
That's right.
AJ did a phenomenal job in Sprint Cup qualifying earlier today. Out-qualified his RPM teammate Marcus Ambrose. Just got pipped at the end by Kyle Busch. And AJ had a great run here last year, so we wish him well tomorrow.
Setting up for a great race tomorrow. I'm looking forward to watching that one. But there's a lot of boys, including the 60 machine, who really need a yellow. They need a little bit of help fuel-wise. Just strategy has played out where they're just banked on getting a yellow, and it's not. It's been such a clean race, Dorsey. Everyone doing a really good job. We saw a few incidents early on, but right now, here we see the lead battle once again. Angelelli doing a tremendous job. Feeling the pressure from Pruitt. He is hounding him, and traffic can cost you 2 seconds, and that lead will be gone.
He is relentless. He being Scott Pruitt. He is not giving up. And again, he's going to get as close as he can to Angelelli. Time running out. Less than 23 minutes here in the Glen.
Look back in the 1979 Daytona 24-hour. This race I was at, and at the end of this race, it was won by a very, very popular group of guys called Interscope Racing. That was a Ted Field, owner of the car, Danny Ungaius, and Burley Haywood that won that race.
And it's all part of the build-up to the 50th Rolex 24 at Daytona. We need to tell you about the speed insider package for just a little over $100. You get everything that is on that graphic. What has happened to our GT class leading car? Magnussen is on pit road.
Well, minutes ago, Ian Magnussen out front, now sitting in pit lane. Mike Johnson, what's going on with the Camaro?
I don't know. I mean, we've been waiting for one of these days where everything went perfect. I mean, pit stops, driver, crew, from when we rolled off the truck, we were really having a perfect day. But this is just, it's our season. I don't know what else to say. I mean, right when everything looks like nothing can go wrong, you know, we end up in pit lane with a hand in the lead. So, I don't know. 2 races left. We'll finish off the year as best we can and be ready to come back next year.
This team has just been snake bit this year. Listening to Ian Magnussen over the radio, it sounds like a drive shaft.
And have a look at this, not only in Daytona prototypes, but GT as well. There's first in Daytona prototype, there's second, there's first, and there's second in GT. It is tight in both classes.
It really is. This is going to be fascinating because both Lee Keane and Dane Cameron, they're 1-2 in GT right now, need some help. They're about 5 minutes shy on fuel. They need some help, but the battle intensifies up front. You can see the traffic playing a part there with the 59 split the 10 and the 01 momentarily.
They almost got that caution with the 57.
Yeah.
Had been able to limp back, but it had enough momentum to get back on.
I'll tell you what could happen to OC. We've got.
Oh, is caution out?
Was that a local? That may be
a local.
Yeah, I think that's local, possibly. But with the amount of cars that are out there scrambling on fuel, one of those cars could run out and cause the yellow needed for everyone else. So last 5-10 minutes here are going to be fascinating.
Like we talked about before, with the gravel traps being blown off of this racetrack, you can't bank on yellows anymore. It just doesn't come around like it used to.
History could repeat, and what I mean by that is that 41 Mazda could go back to victory lane, right, Brian?
Well, that's right. Indeed, Lee, the 59 car is going to have to go for 53 minutes on fuel. That's a long way. James Gouet, this Mazda seems to come alive the last couple of rounds. Is there any particular thing that you can attribute that increase in speed and performance to?
No, I mean, we've had all the ingredients all along. The whole Dempsey team, Seattle crew has been doing a great job for us. We just had a little bit of bad luck. Obviously, right now we're pretty tight on fuel. I'm not sure whether we're going to make it or not, but we'll try and run to the front as long as we can. If we grab a yellow, that will be good to the end. It'll be close, though.
James Gouet, a part of that historic victory, the first for the Dempsey Racing team right here at Watkins Glen a year ago.
Well, speaking of Mazda, take a look at this for the defending series champions. It's on at the lead for DP. Pruitt thought about it on the inside down at 1, and Angelelli runs it as deep as he can. Good work from the Axe, but the Master is not letting go. He wants this victory. Here's what I was talking about a moment ago. Jeff Siegel down into turn 1.
Just kind of mismatched the downshift a little bit with that rear brake bias. Around it goes.
Yeah, it looked like the car was probably just a little bit loose there going in, and that final downshift was enough to turn him around, and they're right in the thick of this points championship, so they need to recover here. Jerry, the strategist, on the radio to Jeff, just trying to calm him down, but I'm very impressed with Jeff Siegel. He's really leading this team back towards the front of this championship chase.
2 series champions, 2 Rolex 24 winners, 6-hour winners. There's nothing these 2 guys haven't done in the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series. We couldn't ask for 2 better guys to go at it, and Pruitt is just working Angelelli over. If you're asking yourself, where's the 99 Red Dragon? Unfortunately, Bob Stallings' Gainsco team, John Fogarty had an accident right there at turn 7, the final turn, crunched the back of the car, and they retired within the opening stanza of the race.
Look at the speed that Angelelli carries through Apex there. He really rolls the car through the middle of that corner with great effect, and that really sets up this whole run, Dorsey, up through the S's and onto that back straightaway.
And traffic is going to be the real deal when you talk about what happens from forward. We got 15 minutes to go. This is going to be a long 15 minutes for Max the Axe with a guy like Scott Pruitt hounding him.
These 2 are in a class of their own at the moment. They have a 14-second gap back to Ryan Dial in second. Let's go to the Ganassi camp.
Memo Rojas climbing down off the box real quick. Memo, you're watching the screen right now. The battle between Pruitt and Angelelli. The car seems to have gotten better. How much have you heard on the radio? What kind of a car does Scott have to do battle with?
Well, I mean, the car was pretty loose at the beginning of the race. We found out that something went wrong with the brake bias. It was all the way to the rear, and it was hard the first few laps. We've trying to fix it throughout the race with rear wicker changes. And I think it's decent right now. It's not easy to drive, but it seems to be better than at the beginning, and Scott's able to hang out with the 10 car. We'll see what happens.
Scott has something to fight with. And remember, we saw the front tires a little bit better on the last stop. Not as much blistering, but Pruitt still has to make sure he keeps those Continentals underneath the front of that BMW-powered Riley.
Will was saying there was something wrong with the brake bicycles. I wonder if he started cranking it the wrong direction, making the situation worse. Do you know what I mean? If he's trying to go to the front and was winding more to the rear, it made the car looser and looser.
What happened?
It's a one-on-one fight for the overall honours and Daytona prototype. In GT, it's just a big question mark. Who's got enough fuel? Final break. We'll take you to the checkered flag right after this.
The weekend-long celebration in the mountains, when the sun goes down, becomes a 120-mile-an-hour grudge match on the half-mile track. It makes this race one of the greatest spectacles in all of sports. There's racing, and there's Bristol.
Get your tickets now. Call 423-BRISTOL or visit bristoltix.com today.
.com can keep you up to speed for everything in Grand Am. It's been a super year in the Rolex Sports Car Series. For all the inside stories, columns, rumours, photos, videos, everything you want, speed.com and check out the auto racing section. We're back, and we need to tell you about an almost caution. It involves the 66 of Andy Lally.
Something you don't see every day, an unforced error by Andy Lally. He gets the front in the gravel, but look at the rear tires still on the asphalt. He was able to drive out of
There would have been so many drivers come through needing that yellow, thinking, yes, yes, and Andy was able to pull out the gravel and continue so he stay green.
Angelelli has extended his lead over Scott Pruitt to 1.3 seconds with 10 minutes to go.
Before we went to break, we saw him do a brilliant passing move in some traffic. Like I said, traffic was going to be the different deal. He got by a couple, Pruitt got trapped.
Look at this. This is a battle for the lead. Lee Keen leaves. Look at Dane Cameron right in his tailpipes.
Yeah,
fresh from a podium at New Jersey Motorsports Park in that 41. That was their best result of the year. Remember what Brian said a little earlier, a year ago here at this sprint race at Watkins Glen, the 41 got the Dempsey Racing Team's first GT Grand Am victory.
Well, Lee, I know we're trying to figure out the fuel situation, not only in Daytona prototype, but also in GT. Just checked in with Catherine Wallace, who steers the ship down at the 42. John Edwards running P4 right now. She says they are really tight, too. The only thing they have going in their favor is they stopped one lap later than the 59 and the 41.
Remember, there were some fuel cell changes since the last round. All of the GT field got 1 gallon less, other than the Mazda that got 1/2 gallon less. So the delta is 1/2 gallon more compared to your competition for all of the Mazda teams. Andy is a lap in hand, so maybe that's enough for Dane Cameron to give him the edge.
1, 2, and 3 in GT. Lee Keen, Dane Cameron, Spencer Pumpelly in the TRG Porsche.
Yeah, Pumpelly is coming.
Yeah,
his best time is a couple of tenths faster than these guys, so he's got a quick Porsche underneath him. Kevin Buckler and his group, you can never count them out.
9 minutes to go here at the Glen. In the overall standings, it's Angelelli, Pruitt, Dial, Wilkins, Law, Negri, Barbosa, Brian Frizzell, Blundell, and Garcia in the top 10. And in GT, Keen, Cameron, Pumpelly, look at this! He's got the lead! What a move from Dane Cameron!
He got it with traffic around and with DPs there. He made the move. Keen got up on that curbing, lost a little bit of momentum. And now Pumpelly's trying to take second.
The Dempsey boys will be going wild. 8.5 to go. What a move.
Fantastic move. Great patience there. Waited for the moment and made it stick.
I was talking about the fact that this traffic is going to be the deal that plays out. Who gets through, who doesn't. That was a brilliant move, no doubt.
Look at Pumpelly. He's coming.
Watch this move.
Saw a little bobble there right at the apex for Lee Keen. That caused him to run out wide. Cameron was there and pounced immediately.
Mark Blundell on the inside of him, and he wasn't scared to make the move, was he, Dane Cameron? Well done. Nice stuff. Brian.
Well, down here, Brumos, they've got a fuel guy standing by and another crew member with a stopwatch and a stick. What that means is a time stop. Right now, Lee Keen holding on, praying for a full course caution. He wants to stay in the fight. Here he is. He's coming, rolling down pit lane. It'll be a time stop. He doesn't need much fuel. They told me earlier in the weekend, maybe 50 minutes. They stopped with 53 to go, so just not enough. They never got the yellow that they needed. Stopwatch, fuel flowing, crew members there. It's not going to take much. He just has about 6.5 minutes left to go here. and they are doing the fuel,
this is
It's
too
still
long.
flowing.
That's
That's
way
more than what they needed. He's
Yeah.
underway.
Yeah, he's
I think
7.5 minutes. There's no way they needed that much fuel.
Yeah, I think they're probably a couple of seconds. I mean, you don't want to
10
make a big
seconds.
mistake and bring them a pit lane and then not have enough, but I'd say that was definitely conservative there. I'd have thought about half that would have been enough.
Yeah, they're talking that was a 10-second fuel stop. With 7 minutes to go, I can buy all that.
Yeah, 10 seconds is essentially about a quarter of a tank, and they can go a lot further than that on a quarter of a tank, of course.
This young Californian who leads the way moved to Atlanta, Georgia earlier this year when he got the nod from Dempsey Racing. Yes, you're our man, because Lee Keane got the opportunity to go to Brumos and race that Porsche for the famed team. Dane Cameron said, right, I'm going to be committed to this program. I'll move to Atlanta where the team's based, working closely with Joe Foster and Patrick Dempsey, Greg Cates and the guys from Dempsey Racing. He's yet to win a Grand Am GT race. He's 6 3/4 minutes away from it.
And look at this, GT leaders are about to be swallowed up by overall leaders in the DP category coming up on right now.
No fuel issues for Angelelli and Pruitt, but the GT cars definitely. What do? Do you try and save fuel now? If you do so, that might help you out on that last lap. If you get a caution, you've blown it in terms of track position.
I think Pruitt's lost speed. I'm thinking maybe that tire has given up on him, guys, on the front end. He just doesn't have the legs that Max Angelelli's got right now.
Yeah, and also big picture, Dorsey, another second place run here. Only once this year have they finished outside of the top two, and that was at Lime Rock when Mamo got involved with traffic there. So this would really consolidate that championship lead.
Just heard radio communication with Scott Pruitt. He said it's really loose getting into one. It seems like the chase that he was taking to Max Angelelli is now taking its toll on the 0-1. Remember, we saw the problems with the front tires earlier. Perhaps he's just used up too much of the good out of those Continental front tires.
That's where Angelelli was really good. When the cars were close together, Dorsey, we could see that Angelelli was really rolling a bit more speed through Apex. And if you can't get into the corner, you're not going to be able to roll it through like Angelelli is.
You know, as good as Scott Pruitt is, looking at the tires that came off that car, you know there's something wrong with the chassis. I mean, he can't fix it. He's doing everything he can do, but I mean, that's the way it is.
We're here in the 41 has hit pit lane. They too needed help. Oh, how is this going to shake out? Brian, you're there.
Well, we heard James Goulet say just a moment ago, I don't know if we're going to make it. The 59 gambled, they lost. Same deal. 41 back underway, but that hurts, boys.
Guess who are rubbing their hands together? The Salins Mazda team. John Edwards, they feel like they might be good to go, but he's been out there for a long time. There's Catherine Wallace.
Yeah, they're going to be tight too. I tell you who's looking really good is the 88 team. They're in good shape. Pampella and Edwards, they're going to be really tight.
Looked like Catherine had no fingernails left either.
Remember the championship fight in GT, one solitary point separating the 59 and this car, the 88 of Jordan Taylor and Bill Lester coming into this race. We know the story with the 59. It had to come in for fuel. Taylor just took over second place. What's the story at TRG, though, for the current leader, Spencer Pumpelly?
Kevin, the dominoes are falling here in GT. Are you guys going to be able to stay out on the racetrack?
Yeah, we're okay. We played our fuel strategy pretty well. It's really close. We were telling Spencer to hammer down until the other two guys pitted. Now we're saying save fuel. We got about a 14-second gap. He can cruise to the end, but he's going to have to go to reserve. It's going to be close, but we'll make it.
Well, Kevin Buckler's won at Watkins Glen so many times, and tonight might be able to add one more.
Got a good feeling, Lee?
I'm not sure I buy that. Kevin's normally a little more confident than that. I think there was a bit of poker face going on.
Well, I tell you, 14-second lead's a big lead. If you can back it off now and save maybe a half lap.
Spencer has enough experience, Dorsey, to do it, and what they need to do is just roll off. When he's going down this back straightaway, about 500 yards out from the corner, just get out of the gas, let the car roll into the corner and save fuel that way. And with the pressure off, he's not chasing anyone. As Kevin said, a nice lead over second. He may have enough in hand to be able to save enough fuel. I think if they'd been hammering it hard, they may have run out.
I know you know how it works, but we need to get everything we got here, bud, okay?
Right here, downhill run, you can feather out of the throttle. Let the hill pull you down. Instead of staying full throttle all the way through there, let the downhill momentum.
He needs to be communicated to. He needs to know his lap times. He needs to know how fast the other car's coming up behind him. You got to talk him through these final 3 minutes or so.
Well, Pruitt made up a little ground. That's probably traffic related on Max.
He will never give up. He will never give up. Pruitt will keep digging. He'll know that if any traffic comes up, you can get a gaggle here, Dorsey. It'll cost you 2 or 3 seconds if you catch it in the wrong spot with a difference in speed between the DPs and the GT machine.
Absolutely. You're right about that. All you got to do is catch a bunch of GT guys racing. And in this inner loop part, there's nowhere to get around him. You want to hold around.
Haven't spoken about car number 8, Ryan Dial and Alex Popoff for Peter Barron's Starworks team. They're poised for their 3rd podium of the year. That would be a well-earned well-deserved result if they can hang in there for another 2.5 minutes.
Well, the chips are falling. 88 has now got up to second with Jordan Taylor, and we're hearing that the 42, we saw Catherine Wallace biting her fingernails. Well, we're hearing they're going to have to hit pit lane. Does Pumpelly have enough, or will Jordan Taylor see victory lane for the second time this year?
36 laps since this car pitted. You keep looking down the order. The 44 Magnus Porsche of Craig Stanton, he's been out there for 38. Can he hang on to get a podium for John Potter's team?
We'll know all that in about 2 laps, that's for sure.
It is Road America all over again.
Jordan Taylor has taken about 4 seconds out of that lead on Spencer Pumpelly. Last time through, it was 10.4. We'll look for the split. There he comes. He is closing in. He is coming hard. He's got plenty of fuel to burn. He's got the hammer down. He is chasing for another win.
And Cal, there was just a radio transmission that Pumpelly has gone to the reserve in that 67.
And remember what happened at a previous race. The position of the overall leader will have an effect on this GT field. If they have to do an additional lap, is when the DP leader.
Okay, you're hearing it right there. Normally when you go to reserve, that gives you 1 lap, only 1 lap. He's telling him also.
42 just hit
42
pit lane.
hits pit lane. He also told him go to map 1. That's a fuel conservation map. He won't have the speed. And here comes Jordan Taylor. He's
down to 7 seconds. 3 seconds on that 1 lap. Jordan Taylor took out of the lead on Spencer Pumpelly.
Got a big piece of debris in the right front headlight area. See it sticking up there?
Just a great call by Marcus Hasselgrove and all of the boys there at Auto House Motorsports when they made that stop. When Bill Lester made his first pit stop and staying on that lead lap, that was crucial, as usual.
He can see him. He can see him, and that gives magic to you.
Yeah, but he's got white flag on the leaders. That means that he's got to do half a lap and +1 because I don't think these DP cars are going to pass him before they see the checker.
It's only 2.45 miles. Angelelli won't catch the 67. He's on his way home. What a day for Wayne Taylor's SunTrust team. If Angelelli can hang on for another half a lap, it would be the team's 3rd victory in 2011. Chris?
I know you guys are trying to figure out whether the 88 can catch the 67. The last time Spencer Pumpelly came down the front straightaway, he lifted at the flag stand, and he just lifted again at the flag stand, so he's trying to save as much fuel as he can.
It's big championship points on the line for that 88 team for the Auto House Motorsports organisation. 2 turns to go. Angelelli won the 6 hour earlier this year with Ricky Taylor. What a special place Watkins Glen has been in 2011. Ricky Taylor, Max Angelelli, how about it? They made the right calls, they executed the right way, and they will celebrate victory. Superb performance. Is it going to be a double victory day for the Taylor family? Jordan is in second at the moment in GT, chasing down Spencer Pumpelly.
And that is the key at the moment. Does he have enough? Does Spencer Pumpelly have enough? He's got half a lap to go. Can he hang on? Look in the background. Here comes Jordan Taylor.
And he's coming with a head of steam, too. He's going to get one more time round.
Turn 6. There are 2 turns to go until we see TRG go to victory lane or even this Auto House Camaro.
Pumpelly's going to do it. I think he's got enough. He can cruise from here. Taylor's not close enough, even if he runs out right now.
Final turn, final lap. Kevin Buckler's boys have done it. Steve Bertho, Spencer Pumpelly, they crawl to the line and they celebrate.
Where you go? Everybody up on the...
There you go.
There we go. He's getting used to this. He's had a few victories this year. Great job. There's Steve Bertho. What a job by the whole group there.
Oh, he's doing a little burnout down. He better get back home. It's a long way back.
Yeah.
The Rolex 24 winners celebrate at Watkins Glen, and it's win number 3 on the season for Wayne Taylor's men. Well done to he and Simon Hodgson. They had the 4-time Sprint Cup champ Jeff Gordon in their pit area. And Kevin Buckler. These boys know how to call strategy. Well done. Great win. And we told you these 2-hour sprint races in the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series are exciting, thrilling stuff. And we have just 2 rounds to go on the season. Let's show you the top 10. And it's the 3rd victory of the year for Max Angelelli and Ricky Taylor. They sweep both events here at the Glen in 2011. 3rd podium of the year for Ryan Dial and his new teammate Alex Popov. Great result. But how about it, Brian Till? The SunTrust boys, this place is theirs.
It is. I think they've got the keys to the racetrack as Max Angelelli comes crawling out of the number 10 the SunTrust Dallara Chevrolet, and it was not an easy drive by any stretch of the imagination. Ricky Taylor started from the pole. We talked earlier about what a good car it was early on, but you sat back, you had to watch Max. How difficult was that? Was that more difficult than driving?
Oh, that was definitely more difficult than driving. I mean, when you're in control and you feel how good the car is, I mean, that's one thing. And Max, those lap times right at the end were unbelievable, and I think this whole SunTrust team and Chevy engines were awesome. Just a great day.
Max Angelelli is wandering around back here. We got to grab him. Talking to Simon. Max, great drive, and obviously you've got tremendous respect for Scott Pruitt. You guys have raced each other for so long. He never let the pressure off, but the balance seemed to be there on this 10 all day long.
It was crazy. I mean, that was a qualified long race for both of us. For Ricky, that is awesome. And Pruitt is Scott Pruitt. I mean, the championship he won, it was a great race. I raced him hard. I closed the door many times. I respect it. It was good. He did not push me out and anything. It's a great pleasure to race with him.
Third win of the season for Max Angelelli. Ricky Taylor, the fourth for Chevrolet Power.
Superb performance. Max won this short course race with Ricky's dad, and now he's done it with Ricky. What about GT? And what about Craig Stanton and John Potter putting that Magnus Porsche on the podium?
Beautiful run there. Porsche's once again looking good, finishing first and third. But Jordan Taylor there, it'll be a big day for him, and Bill Lester in the points, finishing second.
Championship implications, Dorse. We'll get to that in just a moment. We've got to hear from our GT class winner. Chris, it's the first time Porsche has won this short course event.
And Spencer Pompelli and Steve Bertho won in the first round back at the Rolex 24, and now they get the win at the sprint race at Watkins Glen. How confident were you had enough fuel? Everybody had to come in, but you made it work.
You know, Chris, I was definitely thinking back to Road America when we missed it by just this much. We were pretty confident, but at the same time, you know, a lot can go wrong, and we just tried to save as much as we can and hang in there and not lose the guys, but not waste fuel either. And these TRG guys, they keep doing such a good job. Excellent cars every weekend, excellent strategy. We won this one on strategy. We could have won it on speed. These guys are just fantastic.
I heard Kevin Buckler telling you on the radio to save fuel. Kevin, you were listening to him lift out of the throttle halfway down the front straightaway, and you saw the 88 coming. How nervous were you, Kevin?
The gap closing from 12 seconds to 3, and I was saying, okay, don't let that 88 catch you, but he managed it great, managed his pedal great. The guys did a great job, all the TRG guys. Spence, Steve, fantastic.
Great job, guys. Great job.
Dorse, how difficult is that to take it all the way to the end when you know you're running out?
Well, you know, they only knew how close it was, but you could tell by their voice on the radio that they weren't playing games. They were right down to the wire.
From Keenan Davis having a 1-point advantage, they're now 7 behind.
Yeah, big day for the 88 team there. You can see a 7-point lead, 2 rounds to go, but I don't think this will be the last lead change possibly till the end of the season. It's so competitive in the class. You've got to make the right calls. The 88 did a great job of that today, Dorsey.
Anybody in that top 6 can still win this championship.
How about Daytona Prototype from a 29-point advantage? It's down to 26. What a tough day for Fogarty and Gurney. And then now they're only 7 ahead of Donahue and Law. The Action Express boys had a reasonably strong day. All right, final break. When we come back, we'll wrap it up here at the Glen. Speed's coverage of the Rolex Sports Car Series is presented on Speed by Rolex, a crown for every achievement. Brought to you in part by Continental Tire, innovative technology, driving confidence. And by Subaru, with the safety of symmetrical all-wheel drive standard on all vehicles. One team, one combination gave us a great storyline. That's Chip Ganassi's men, and Brian Till is with them.
Well, Memo Rojas and Scott Pruitt, you come home second. It certainly wasn't from lack of trying, guys. And Memo, when you stepped out of the car early on, I know you probably saw those front tires. Did you think Scott was going to have a car that he could take to the front?
Well, I knew we had the best balance this week. This weekend. And it was getting pretty tough to drive for me. We did some changes, and I'm not sure if the track got better for Scott, but certainly I think we improved throughout the end of the race. And, we were close fighting with the 10 car, but they had the edge tonight.
And Scott, I know that there's never any quit in you, but in that battle with Angelelli at the end, was it traffic or did the car just go away?
Traffic. I mean, he got some really good moves in traffic. I had my family at home, and we just couldn't get the Telmex BMW up there. I mean, we had it. We had a shot, And then a GT car just jammed us enough going down to the bus stop. He got away from us a little bit, and that's kind of where it stood. And, you know, second in the championship, more points, the whole deal. It's all good shape. And they just had a little more for us today.
They'll take the points, and they'll leave from here from second in Daytona Prototypes to second in GT with Chris.
Well, Bill Lester and Jordan Taylor take over the point lead in GT. And Jordan, you guys were good on fuel. You were catching the leader. Are you satisfied with second, or are you frustrated because all you needed was one more lap?
No, to be honest, it was a big relief. We had a rough few races the last couple, and we knew the Autohaus guys put together a really strong car with Charlie Ping engineering it. We just battled the whole race. I mean, Bill passed 8 guys, I think, on the first lap, and then I just kept moving us forward. We had great strategy and a great Camaro, so we'll see how it goes the rest of the year.
Bill, you got the championship lead. 2 races to go. What's the plan?
Just keep doing what we're doing. Don't beat ourselves. We're doing a great job. We're keeping consistent, and I just think that we're going to be very poised here before the season's up.
Nice run, guys.
And the reason why they are the championship leaders, that is their 9th consecutive top 10. It's their 3rd podium to add to their victory earlier in the year. They've been wonderfully consistent.
Yeah, and I think they're showing some maturity now in that group. I mean, earlier in the season, they made a few calls we weren't quite sure about, but right now they're on top of their game, and they're hitting this stride right at the important part of the season, Dorsey.
Yeah, well, you hear them talking the talk. That tells you their heads are on straight. They know what they got to do. A couple more races to go. They got a plan, and that's what it takes.
The key is, can you maintain that poise when the pressure is really on? It changes, Dorsey. When you get in this championship chase, 2 rounds to go, then the final round, it changes the dynamic of the weekend.
And in GT, as we see every weekend, nothing's for granted there. You got to fight for every position.
Let's give some credit to a couple of teams that got on the podium. The Magnus Porsche team in GT, and in Daytona Prototypes, the Starworks boys.
Yeah, down here in the Starworks camp, I've got most of the team. I've got Alex Popoff, Enzo Pololitico, and Ryan Dial. And Ryan, for you brought the 8 car home. We talked earlier that this is the best car you guys have had all year. Feel good to come home and put a podium finish there for Peter Barron and the team?
Yeah, it feels excellent. I mean, first race with Alex, and it's a big decision when we split the cars and put Enzo in one and Alex in one, but we've done an amazing job as a team in the past couple of weeks, and this is, I think, what we consider our first genuine podium. I think we might have had something for the guys if we got yellow, but we just wanted to bring it home. Third's an excellent result. Alex and Enzo have been awesome this year, and I think I need to probably get a Venezuelan passport now.
I don't think he has the accent, though, guys.
Well, that man did a great job. Alex Popov, hats off to him this week, and he showed he can drive a race car.
He did. He wasn't intimidated at all, and stuck it down the inside of Rojas there in turn 1 and held that position for many, many laps.
It was a wonderful move, and that's a really nice reward for Peter Barron's group, who have worked really tirelessly. Well, that just about wraps up a very long day here from Watkins Glen on speed. We turn our attention now to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Montreal. We always love the trip north each year. Looking forward to that one?
Yeah, and it's another 2-hour format. We've seen every one of those this year so far has come right down to the wire like that. I kind of like it. It's good going into the end of the championship.
It's always an exciting race, Lee, and you never know when it's going to be over, right?
When fuel is in question, you always wait till the checkered flag flies. No, Montreal is great, and I was remiss to say that is coming up in a week's time. Next Saturday will be the race at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So the sun has set, the race is over. We congratulate the Sun Trust and TRG teams. What a way to go to victory lane here at the famed Watkins Glen. We had NASCAR guest drivers, we had fuel strategy coming into question, and just good old-fashioned Grand Am racing. Thanks for being a part of Sports Cars on Speed. We'll see you next week from Canada.